Hello and welcome.
Welcome back to HeroesCCL.
HeroesCCL.
To HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justin.
I am Doa. With me, as always, are Grubby and Bahamut.
And I am joined by Grubby and Justin.
Welcome. It's time, everybody. It's time to begin the regular season.
And we're back for another fantastic season of Heroes of the Storm. Good afternoon, good evening, and good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. My name's Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justin, and we are here at our grand finals day of Season 4 of HeroesCCL. Some really exciting stuff to be had today. We got a lot to talk about, but of course, let's check in with our friends here, because we all got dressed up for you at home. I know all of you at home are dressed up as well. We all put on suits and ties, regardless of the time or time zone you're in. But Grubby, what have you been up to? How you doing? And are you ready for a great day?
You know, just playing games, taking walks. Just playing games, taking dog walks and walking by the pancake house, and then Logan is like, "Oh my God, we should totally go there. And yeah, he didn't get it. It smells awesome, lots of people. But yeah, had a great day. Just a relaxing Sunday afternoon. Played some HoTS, and now ready to watch the best of the best compete in HoTS.
Here we got a best of 5 and a best of 7, and I gave in to temptation, and I did eat pancakes this morning. But of course, Justin, how have you been? Are you ready for a great day?
Yep, I've been good. As soon as the broadcasts are done, as soon as I let down the green screen, Springy's been up on my desk demanding belly rubs, so she's learning. She's beginning to see the trend here of green screen go down, belly rub time. So we've gotten in the rhythm of things. So hopefully that continues after the broadcast today.
So what we should do to appease everyone in Twitch chat is we should, halfway through the show, take down the green screen so Springy will jump onto the broadcast. I think that's the secret sauce that we need for today's broadcast. But we've got, as I mentioned, some amazing games, and Grubby and Justin said as well, we've got some fantastic Heroes of the Storm action to bring you all today. So let's start getting into things. Let's take a look at our prizing and break everything down for you at home as to how this prizing is going to work, because there was a change leading into our playoff weekend that the prize pool is 100% going to the players. You can see that breakdown on the bottom left of your screen. First place, which we will figure out today, we will crown our first place champion of HeroesCCL Season 4, will take 35%. Yesterday, one of the teams was knocked out of the playoffs and took 4th place. They take 10% of that prize pool. Now, I want to note one other thing as well. We have an additional $10,000 to be added to the prize pool at the end of the season, which should be sometime this week, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know when the logistics will figure that out, but basically this upcoming week, there'll be $10,000 more added in. Right now, we're at $15,280 because of your generosity. If you'd like to push that prize pool to $15,500 today, you can use !prize pool in chat to get yourself over there. And we very much do appreciate the support from the community, the love for these players and these organizations. So thank you all once again to the community and everyone at home for pushing that prize pool further and further. But Grubby, let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff bracket and kind of catch everyone up as to what's happened so far, because we've had 2 play days of HeroesCCL action, and we're leading into this, well, final play day of Season 4.
Yeah, on Friday we started day 1 with Oxygen against Wildheart Esports. Oxygen winning with a 3-2 score, which saw them to the winner bracket finals. 30k easily dispatched of Diamond Hands with a 3-0 victory. Yesterday on Saturday, on day number 2, we started with Oxygen against 30k. 30k managed to win with a 3-1 score. The ones that they won were pretty one-sided, but Oxygen looked good in game number 2. And then Wildheart Esports versus Diamond Hands. Another 3-2 score for Wildheart, this time in their favor, which saw them to a guaranteed top 3 and giving them the right to re-challenge Oxygen Esports in the upcoming Consolation, or as some people call it, Loser Finals.
Yeah, we have our lower bracket finals as we can take a look at today's matches, and that'll be Oxygen Esports versus Wildheart Esports, and then we will crown today's champion. But of course, it could be 30k, it could be Oxygen, it could be Wildheart, because the winner of our first matchup goes up against 30k. Now, you might be sitting at home saying, graphics, you screwed up. There's already a 1 game for 30k and we haven't even gotten there. Well, let me clarify things for anyone at home that is wondering. The final game of the weekend, the final game of HeroesCCL Season 4, is a weighted best of 7, and since 30k did not drop into the lower bracket at any point during this double elimination bracket, they will be entering entering the best of 7 with a 1-game advantage. So 30K will only need to win 3 maps to take this season, and whomever they'll be going up against will have to win 4 maps in that best of 7 series. But we'll get there eventually, because Justing, we have this first Oxygen Esports versus Wildheart Esports, and I do want to also get your thoughts on this matchup as we're about to lead into it.
No, I'm just super excited. I think that either Oxygen or Wildheart, if one of them can really step up and really just look super dominant today, then they have a chance against 30K. But everyone's looking at 30K as kind of the raid boss for the whole event.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of pressure on both Oxygen and Wildheart.
We should have some great games today, but before we jump into the rosters and the games, let's go ahead and talk about some amazing sponsors. We have Next Level Gaming to talk about. Are you looking for more Heroes of the Storm action after Season 4 is over? Our wonderful friends at Next Level Gaming and the Nexus Revitalization Project are hosting the Heroes International, featuring 8 best teams from all over the world competing for the World Championship of HoTS this October 14th through the 16th. The top 3 teams from North America, from EU, and the top 2 teams from Korea will meet for a LAN final showdown in Miami, Florida. For more information, use !international in chat to find out all you can. And I do want to bring up a cool factor that our grassroots community Nexus Gaming Series, they'll actually be hosting the NA portion of those qualifiers. So if you are looking in NA, I know for certain that Nexus Gaming Series will be handling that. I don't know about EU and Korea. I wish I knew a little bit more, maybe Heroes Lounge, but I do know for sure that Nexus Gaming Series will be handling that qualifier, which would be really cool. We can all kind of take part and watch those games. But of course, we're not done talking about some amazing sponsors, because we got to talk about Ball Street. Yes, everyone loves HeroesCCL Fantasy, and it's back because we've partnered with Ball Street to bring you CCLmarkets.com. It's a free pick'em game that lets you choose HeroesCCL winners in real time as you're watching the action. Simply buy shares of the team you think is going to win the matchup and sell shares of the team you think is going to lose. The best part? What is it, Justing?
The market is always open, so you can change it at any time, whether you got it right or wrong at the start.
You can buy and sell all match long to get a better score. Every night, the top traders on CCL Markets will win prizes, and you can compete all season long. Join CCLmarkets.com and win prizes as you watch today's broadcast. Thank you to Ball Street and Next Level Gaming for partnering up with HeroesCCL Season 4. Now, as I've been alluding to since the start of the show, let's start talking about these rosters. Let's start talking about this first matchup, and let's take a look over at Oxygen.
Our team prepared by playing Masters Clash in Europe. Actually, we traveled to Paris together as a team. We played against the finest teams in Europe, and ultimately actually won the whole thing. I like the most about our team that everyone is very confident in his own role. Benny doing like crazy flanks on the main tank position, coming from every angle that you can imagine. Having Yasu being absolutely insane on some of the supports, especially Lucio. Copenhagen very strong on the offlane, and then we have the wildcard Nick. Always comes up with something surprising in terms of draft and in terms of what he thinks right now is the hero that could redefine the meta. And yeah, that's why it feels so good to play with the boys.
Oh, that's the Oxygen roster, and we got Grubby to break it on down for you.
Just to give you an idea of how many different special heroes Nick plays, the wildcard, as Hasuops called it, yesterday and the day before, we had him on the following heroes: Greymane, Tyrael, Kerrigan, that's melee assassin, ranged assassin and tank, Hanzo, and then Tassadar. Now, nobody else really is playing much Tassadar, so that's really interesting. Then against 30K, we had him on Cassia, more Tassadar. We had him on Tracer and on Hogger, which is a bruiser. So he plays 3 to 4 different roles. Really interesting, a lot of different heroes, some that not a lot of people play. And then Yasu. Yasu and, let's see, Yasu and Hasuops are actually the most banned out players on this team in this playoff so far. Yasu's Lucio and Hasuops is Sergeant Hammer.
It's the Yasu Obs effect,
Yep. The Yasu ups.
I'm so sorry. I went to go I went to have a sip of water right then and there. But I do want to take a look over at the Wildheart Esports roster as well.
Our team is very much focused on improving and fine-tuning our play, but at the same time, we're also keeping it loose. we've got a great group of guys, and not just the players, but also everyone else involved. It's probably not controversial to say 30k is the team to be at this point, so it'll be a very exciting challenge if we get the chance to try to take them down.
And taking a look over at the Wildheart Esports roster, we got Justin here to break things down.
We have Haben, the tank player for the team. He's been looking extremely scary on things like that Diablo. That seems to be kind of his favorite, his preference. And in the series yesterday, we didn't see any Diablos banned away in the match of 30k. But here against Haben, I think Diablo will be a priority. I don't think that's going to be getting through too much. Ivy Tings and Mason Blaze, both the ranged flex for the team. They play some strange things like Genji. You see Mason Blaze lately even picking up the Tyrael that we've seen, the damage Tyrael. A really flexible duo of backline damage. They can either play double ranged or they can play the melees. We have Weary Day, one of the best supports we have at saving people. He popped off yesterday on the Malfurion. His Uther is always just a pocket pick for him. And Zergling, kind of the mastermind behind the macro. We don't always hear it too much in the comms, but he's really the one who's kind of piloting the whole team to win on all fronts across the map. He's the offlaner for the team, and Roger, the 6th member.
And we're getting ready for this matchup. I'm super excited about this one, and I love this rematch. I'm super excited about this rematch. There's got to be blood in the water for both these teams. They want a quick 3-0 because the shorter this first series is for either side, the easier it is to get into that next best of 7 or the final best of 7, and you also don't have to expend as much resources and energy to be able to win a 5-game series or something. But let's actually start diving into the series and find out where we're going to for map number 1, because we got that for you all at home, as it is going to be Wildheart Esports taking us to Sky Temple for map number 1. Oxygen Esports opting in for first pick priority, and ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it, banned Battlefield of Eternity as Wildheart Esports bans out Garden of Terror. And that Battlefield of Eternity, if Oxygen wins the series, they'll only have to ban out Battlefield one more time to never play it this entire season. But looking over at stats here, Grubby, for Sky Temple for both these teams, Oxygen 1-1 record, Wildheart Esports 3-5 record.
And I'll tell you more stats in the head-to-head.
Yes.
Oxygen against Wildheart have played on Sky Temple twice this season against each other. In the regular season, Wildheart took it, but in the playoffs yesterday, Oxygen took it. Your total map score against each other in matches is 5-4 in favor of Wildheart, despite Oxygen, of course, winning in the playoffs yesterday, because Oxygen won with a 3-2, but Wildheart with a 3-1. So Wildheart favored in the map score. They're 1-on-1 on Sky Temple. It almost couldn't be any more close for this first map to predict a winner.
I think that we got so many stats for everyone at home, and I know our statisticians are just like, yes, all of the stats, all of the data between these two teams. But what I actually want to throw it over to Justin and ask is, what is your intuition between these two teams going up against each other? How do you feel this series will go, Justin?
So it's really brave of Wildheart to pick Sky Temple. Yesterday we heard in the interview Zergling say that they felt like they were a little asleep at the start, and that might be kind of the reason that it wasn't going so well for them at the beginning, but they got picked back to back on this map before any objectives even spawned. So I'm hoping that they came in here with a really clear-cut strategy to kind of just pop the series from the start to get going off the bat, because if you come in slow like this, the first game is just as important as the last game, and momentum's a very real thing. I'm expecting that Wildheart is taking a lesson from yesterday's match on this map specifically and has something very special prepared. I would expect to see something like the Sylvanas and just forcing those 4-man rotations while Zergling's allowed to kind of just get values somewhere else. Maybe see IB Tings pick up the foul stat and do some split pushing, which we've seen a bit of him do in the past. But I'm expecting Wildheart to come in with a very clear strategy, Oxygen a bit more flexible.
We are going to have an available Lucio, unless the members of Wildheart will target it out right here. I am curious, but as Grubby was mentioning, a lot of those heads-up bans, little target bans as well. That's the Hazuab, Sergeant Hammer not coming through. No actual healer bans just yet, which is something that we saw so much yesterday, Grubby.
Yep, we did. And Rhaegar wasn't banned a lot and was used a lot by 30k, the most winning team. It actually added a lot of map pressure besides his general healing kit and the CC effect that he has, the big slow. Now we do get that healer ban, but it's not part of a healer monopoly strategy by Wildheart. It's just, like I mentioned in the pre-roll, it's Lucio and Hanzo for Yasuo and Hazu.
Okay, so a Blaze comfort pick. We saw a lot of it yesterday. That's okay. This is what I was wondering: is do we get the Hogger? And I like the Muradin for Haben here, Justing.
Yeah, I like seeing it picked up because it's Haben and because he's so strong on the hero. The one concern I'd have is going forward. For either of these teams, the Johanna has not been prioritized at all, and we saw yesterday 30k Cattle playing it pretty much every single time it was available, just first picking it if he needed to. So the expectation for me was sort of to see the Hogger Brightwing come out, but Wildheart feeling a little bit comfortable that they have more flexibility with their support pick. The Brightwing and the Johanna are now picked for Oxygen. Oxygen currently has a very, very scary draft with 3 heroes that are basically first pickable on the side of Oxygen.
And the great thing, Grubby, is that Oxygen hasn't really shown any of their playstyle with this draft whatsoever. They can flex into... I feel like they could flex into any 2 ranged assassins at this point, and it'd be fine.
Yeah, they could even grab another tank type of hero. Not super usual on Sky Temple. More likely double solo laner than double tank. But yeah, you're right. They have full defense set up. They've got wave clear. Brightwing is maybe 3rd best in role for wave clear among the healers. Blaze is best in role. Johanna is best in role. So wave clear has been very well taken care of already, which also means that Wildheart, with Muradin being low in wave clear, we'll need to get some pretty big heavy hitters.
So we could see exactly the case of yesterday. We could see double bruiser, main tank, hyper carry sort of deal for either of these teams. That was kind of popping up more and more yesterday. Seems like it is a little bit of a comfort. It also, Justing, feels safe in that sense. Like in the realm of like double support, if you have all these frontliners, as long as they're protecting and peeling for the backline, you should be winning sustained fights and holding out against the enemy.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Wildheart is looking to do with the Genji ban, and then Oxygen is maybe thinking that there's a double support coming from Wildheart. Looks just very standard right now. Ivy Ting's Hanzo is something that hasn't been brought up a lot, but yesterday we saw it used to full effect, getting those one-shots against the wall post level 16 with that giant killer, the percent damage on the arrows.
Slayer.
Giant Slayer. Thank you. Ivy Ting's just literally deleting people in half a second with that, doing 3,000 damage with 1 W. So not to be counted out, but right now Oxygen just has a very, very scary draft. The last picks, weird.
I was kind of expecting the Tracer, but they don't have like a typical pairing like Tyrael or Malf, right?
Yeah, Brightwing not the best at healing a Tracer. You pretty much rely exclusively on the Blink heal to be able to do that. Not exactly what you want to keep the Tracer alive. Typically you want something like the Anduin or the Malfurion that just has good sustained healing just for them. The Thrall picked up for Mason Blaze, I like that a lot. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mason Blaze prioritize some Tyrael like we saw yesterday against this team specifically, just in general in the series, but here we do see the Thrall come out. It's a lot more CC, so right now Wildheart is stacking quite a bit of CC. If they hit 1 stun on the Tracer, she should just get deleted, especially once the Hanzo gets the damage at 16. Once Thrall gets some damage coming in later on, it'll be good into level 16 against the Blaze and Johanna, but Blaze and Johanna are also pretty difficult for Thrall to deal with, so it's a little bit strange to see the Thrall last pick. Not wanting to pick something squishy to be a target for the Tracer makes sense, but into Johanna blinds, into the Blaze oil, it might be very difficult for Thrall to actually get the same level of value that he would like to get. So I'm not completely sold on Wildheart's draft. They have the 3 melee composition that's been doing quite well and might do okay into Tracer in general, specifically. I think maybe the Tracer pick is a little bit too risky for the side of Oxygen, and that alone might be enough to make up for the rest of the discrepancy in the draft, but I'd say outside of the Tracer pick, Oxygen's draft just looks better basically across the board. In pretty much every single position, they just got a higher priority pick. So with the exception of that Tracer that might get bullied a bit into this very melee-heavy composition where there's not a lot of people to trade on, it looks, I'd say, slightly Oxygen favored, but it's about a 50-50. It's definitely going to come down to execution.
Well, thank you, Justin, for the analysis, as always, for this first matchup of the day of Oxygen versus Wildheart. We're going to go ahead and introduce our fantastic teams here. We've got Hazuabs on the Falstad, Copen playing the Blaze, Bad Benny on the Joanna, Yasu on the Brightwing, and Nick to play the Tracer. On the side of Wildheart Esports, in the red, we've got Zergling on the Hogger, Ivy Tings on the Hanzo, Haben to play the Muradin, Mason Blaze on the Thrall, and Rhaegar to be played by Weary Day. Grubby, I'm right there with Justin. Like, as he was talking about it, I do see that there's some shining potential for the members of Wildheart in their draft, but I do think that Oxygen will lose Tracer first, is what I was going to say. Now, I do think that actually Oxygen could take this, but that was a bit of a blunder at the start right there. Got to get your thoughts, of course, Grubby, on the drafts, the map, or anything in between.
Nick blinked right out of existence. That's not really what you want to have happen. And they got almost no damage on the tower in return for this. We're Wildheart now on the warpath. These are two heroes without a mount, so they got caught very close to the gate. Yasu will survive. Okay, that was not ideal, but it's not that much experience, really. 300 XP for a hero, which is yes, even less than a minion wave.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I need to talk to you about the level 1 for Haben.
Huh? Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
My brain flipped Thralls because Thrall has the blue one, the Echo of the Elements, so my brain was like, oh, Echo of the Elements, and then I stared at it for long enough, I'm like, Haben, baby boy, what are you doing? Why?
Well, Lauber did it once and he got 150, 160 stacks.
Oh boy.
Decent. So maybe he will get more. I guess the theory here is hey, we got 4 melee, 1 is a healer, but let's say, who's going to be targeted here? It's going to be Thrall or Hogger going to get targeted by Falstad, and then Hanzo is going to get targeted by Tracer, and Muradin should be the last target that gets attacked. That's his idea. And then Dwarf Block gets mitigated by Tracer's fast auto attacks. And then there's almost no... there's no poison damage, so he doesn't feel like he needs the third wind to stay alive. It's just about re-engage. But I kind of get it. I
can see what you mean.
He has decent damage so far on it.
And Justin is agreeing as well. It's just it's either third wind or block for me. And maybe that's my own stubbornness in my talent diversity, but anyways, we'll get off the topic. He's going shotgun build, as we used to call it, the shotgun stormbolt build, and we'll have
Mason Blaze went for Manatite Totem. Not going for the block charges makes sense. You're still against Tracer. Then you could get the extra roots, which is hard to hit on Tracer and Falstad and Brightwing, and Johanna has Unstoppable, so it doesn't feel as good. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. We're seeing some interesting talents, but of course, this is the... all these matches mean a lot today because there's no lower bracket to fall into. This is, to use the term, it's do or die right now in this series right here. Winner will go up against 30k. Loser will take third place, and that's the end of Season 4 of CCL. But let's talk about the objective phase. Blaze will have top lane. Neither of the Bruisers getting a ton of damage, but there was an initial early siege from Oxygen Esports getting that gate down, so we might actually see the fort fall if Oxygen can control the top lane. Rhaegar Thrall have something to say about that. As Zerglin gets low, Bad Benny trying to control the mid area with Tracer looking to step back in after the well does get some HP. Phase shift from the Brightwing will come through just in time on Copen. Can Copen still get away? Soothing Mist. He's got 90 HP. I think it was 85 at a point. Muradin. It's gonna be a bite to the butt from Weary Day.
Meanwhile, Hazuops did join mid lane together with Hogger, who he was versusing Zergling in bottom lane. And they end up taking a bunch of the middle laser shots. But with the healer dead and Johanna and Tracer being so low... Oh wait, healer's not dead. Brightwing just couldn't make it here on time. Nick! This is really, really good for Wildheart. They managed to steal top and still get most of their own mid.
Wildheart is overall... Structurally, they're not getting as much damage, but they're still opening up the map, which is very, very nice for this crew, and still finding kill after kill, which is going to be a level lead to the Wildheart members. Just looking at the builds consistently here, we do have that auto attack build for the Falstad, and also the big thing to note is just going to be those mini stuns or the Skullcracker value. Phase shift into the top lane once again onto Copen, who may not get away again. Brightwing tried, Yasu attempted, Bad Benny with a shield glare won't be enough. Gets the condemn. Tries to get the level 4 finished out, but only 3 members were hit by that subdue, so no 80% slow from that one. But with this massive wave, I think Wildheart can take the fort.
Yeah, I think I'm also with you guys to round back on the start. Oh, this is a massive punish by Bad Benny. Really big slow. Hazuops kind of conservative with his fly-in, but he still does get Muradin. The one thing I don't like about this draft is Tracer. The same as you guys. But let's see if it can work out. She is one of the safer solo laners in the late game. Even though she's not usually that role, but she can fill that role a bit. Falstad can do that, Blaze can do that, so there are some things that they can do with it. He has a decent push when, in a situation like this, where now Oxygen is pushing onto the fort. They may actually be the first to claim a fort here.
Mid lane actually has a huge wave coming through. Falstead trying to poke at that one. Hogger doing his best to delay out the top lane, but it's not going to work out. First structure to go down, but in mid lane we take a look at the fight breaking out, hammering out for the Falstead. Weary Day getting chunked quite a bit here. Joanna still getting shield glares out as Weary Day is able to wolf run away. 10 Talontier will be here for the side of Oxygen first, but Wildheart won't be far off of their own. Do want to point out, no Sundering from the Thrall. We have the Earthquake, which I do like for the overall control in the engagements, and then I think Wildheart can continue to play around that with the slows, and then also level 20 Earth and Shields is a great ally tool.
Yeah, definitely. And keep in mind that Earthquake gives you many procs. Nowadays it deals kind of irrelevant damage, but it means it procs your Frostwolf Resilience, which now isn't just self-healing, but it's also mana and cooldown regeneration, thanks to the Mana Tide. So definitely if you're going Earthquake and Mana Tide together, you've got some synergy going. Gonna make him have more spells. Oxygen choosing to forfeit the Fountain for now. Interesting choice. They go for the 4-man push. It feels to start to become part of a really a macro-focused play. They've got the double global. They've got the good disengage with Tracer and Johanna and Gust. So expect to see this more. Giving up singular temple phases for push. This only works though if you do get the push. But Zergling has been defending, no problemo. And Wildheart is in a position to add their own push power to bottom if they feel like they can do that, if the waves align properly.
Want to note as well, the Tracer level 10, she went into the Pulse rounds, which is going to be range and charge rate against heroes. Arrow from Hanzo won't connect onto anyone right there, and we have Joanna getting hit with the Stormbolt just as the Iron Skin expires. Facia from Brightwing. Shockwave from the Hogger will be interrupted.
God, beautiful! Beautiful!
Bless.
Again, for the second time they interrupted Hogger's Shockwave and they killed him, I kid you not, on the final frame of Ancestral Healing's Hope.
That was just clinical that was just beautiful execution. Like, they rolled a nat 20 on that Bless Shield, Grubby. Easily.
Yeah, actually Yasuo opened with the Polyorf. He was like, no, no, no! And then the Shield followed up. They got him. It was so close.
Really well played from Oxygen in that turnaround moment, and these late game kills are pulling the experience back to our blue team as you see them ahead by half a level. Now there are still waves to be cleared and grabbed by the side of Wildheart, so this isn't a 3/4 level massive gain. It still is a little bit of a wave clear, and it's probably closer to like a quarter level difference, but Wildheart will hit their 13 first. Will they try and make some sort of play with this? Seems more like a macro decision overall, and we'll maybe see some contention over the double temple phase in the north and south positioning on the map.
Wildheart started off well, but now they're down a fort, though many forts are extremely low. Therefore, Wildheart is still totally fine. They have 2 more kills, and if they can get any advantage at all, then it's going to be 3 forts down instantly. You'll see. Wow, Hogger killed again by Oxygen. Okay, so we've been analyzing this draft a lot from like, how is a 5v5? Hand Tracer easily engaged, does she get enough heals from Brightwing and so on? Oxygen is seeing this game very, very differently. They're seeing this as a bully the Hogger game.
And it's working extremely well for Oxygen as well when they just find Hogger out of position, because it's I think you've nailed that so well, Grubby, because we have a lot of split moments where Wildheart's kind of trying to get maybe a camp, or they're trying to grab an objective phase, and Hogger's defending what he feels is safe near a fort, near a structure, but Oxygen can dive underneath and sustain enough to be able to get these kills, and it's really starting to whittle down Wildheart a bit to the point where, yeah, structures are low on the side of Oxygen, but so are they on the side of Wildheart too. We've already got that first fort down in top lane.
Thrall is starting to shoot charges. He could kill triple temples if left alone. He gets one. Massive burst damage from Falstad with that secret weapon. Nice for Hazuops to jump on top of this right away together with Yazu. Because if Thrall had been given 5 more seconds, that's a triple fort kill. Now, one goes down. The other 2 are just standing on the House of Cards, on a swamp, but they're still there.
Aben's able to dwarf toss out of that right there. I also want to point out the Falstead did go into the level 13 for the sustained win, so he's got the percent-based damage as well as the increased damage while the Tailwind is active, which synergizes extremely well with the frequent flyer, just constantly getting attack speed out as well. So I'm really I love that we're seeing more auto attack Falstad. I want to try it more in my own games. He was trying to turn around and gust, but the chain
Oh my
CC
God.
was way too much, and he couldn't even press R once. But here comes the turnaround fight. Ancestor Healing won't connect onto the Hanzo in time. Bunker down from the Blaze, Earthquake from the Thrall, and Mason Blaze is getting cooked up by that bunker. We have Tracer trying to chase in. The Earthquake slowing. Blink through. The AoE slows. Jet Propulsion from Blaze connects onto Zergling, and Haben gets the Avatar just as the Pulse Bomb was about to explode. Haben also tapping well. Is this Oxygen going for the throat here? 13 on Hanzo, but 28 on the Hogger. I feel like it's keeping maybe back away.
Either go for the throat or throw for the goat, and you don't want to be on that mountain. And the heroes are coming back already. It's a 4-on-4 soon, so they're gonna go back. Oxygen, they're like, you didn't like Tracer, huh? We do. We like it a lot, and it's been looking good. Beautiful how Oxygen turned after Hasselhoffs got killed. We can see that one more time. Hasselhoffs was trying to hold his gust, but then he got like Perm CC'd. Look at the turnaround. Bad Penny, immediate blessed shield. Nick goes in. Very pure pulse bomb right on top of Hanzo. Again, Ancestral couldn't proc. Bunker to kind of body block, I suppose. Body block
a little bit, yeah.
Rhaegar. Yeah, do some extra damage. Was really neat.
I also wonder if the Bunker, I don't know if this is a conscious effort, but I wonder if Bunker also denies Frostwolf resilience stacking for the Thrall through the pulses of the Earthquake. I wonder if that's also a slight denial. That gust from the Falstad pushes Weary Day into the wall. The Ancestor Healing is available, and it will be cast onto Mason Blaze this time. Arrow from Hanzo will not connect onto the enemies as the fight continues to chase in. Zergling trying his best to push back the enemy with staggering blows. Has the Hog Wild, but that's more of a Hog disengaged. Either way, Pulse Bomb onto Haven. He is able to back out. He's still getting a little bit low. Another Earthquake from the Thrall, getting a couple procs right there. As Nick is going to blink away, and I think we have a disengage from Oxygen. Next Gust is available in 30 seconds, but Wildheart, they're trying to continue continue this fight, playing into it onto Bad Benny.
Keep in mind, this is Ivy Tinks with level 16 Hanzo.
Oh no!
Cursed. Jinxed. Mega jinxed. The overchase.
I was looking at the positioning of Wildheart as they were starting to turn back around, and I was like, that's a lot of members grouped up, and I looked up and I was like, oh, but Bless Shield's on cooldown. Then I was like, but Blaze! And he lands the Titanic Jet Propulsion right there, getting a huge stun and allowing a triple kill to happen. Oxygen Esports, they're actually just going to go for the objective play. This objective phase, I don't think ends the game. I'm looking at bottom lane, still has one tower and such, but we will confirm 2 keeps and maybe a couple % off the core. I'd say maybe the core sitting around 88%.
I'm going to say 99%.
Okay, all right, okay. I'm still waiting for my gifted sub, Grubby.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time. But
Bahamut, that's true.
But we are having really, really good play from Oxygen as the third keep will fall. Is this? Yeah, this is. I wouldn't say it's a go for broke play, but since Wildheart knows there's an enemy on that top lane objective phase, this could be a grab here and maybe a bit of a play. But look at Falstad. Oh, I thought he was flying to core. Never mind.
No, he flew into Bruiser. By the way, core is 100%, so I was only 1% off. Kind of.
You win by Price is Right rules.
Yeah, I kind of cheated, I guess.
That's okay.
I'm going that close to 100%. But yeah, level 20 is going to be reached. Mighty Gas, level 50 Armor Bunker. We're going to get, what, Radiating Faith? Yep. So they're going to go for core. I think you just go for core here very brazenly. You've got Johanna and Brightwing stopping backs.
Yeah, and Hanzo still stopped, and he actually goes down. Rhaegar will get the Hearth out. The core is falling rapidly, but this is an auto-attack-based Falstad on the core. A little too difficult to deal with, and that is going to be Oxygen Esports with a 3-level lead, 11-5 in kills. First map over to the side of Oxygen, who are looking dominant. I said at the start of today that this is going to be, there's blood in the water for these teams, but Oxygen seems like they have found the chum first, and they are in a feeding frenzy. We got Justing back in the mix to break down everything that was Sky Temple.
Yeah, the beginning of the game would not really allude to the way that the rest of the game was going to go, as it felt like Wildheart came out the game just swinging. Felt like Haben, especially on the Muradin, was just setting up pick after pick. But unfortunately for them, even with the 4 picks, the second Oxygen gets their first one, based off of because of Wildheart overextending a little bit in the top lane. As soon as Oxygen gets just 1 pick, they transition that into an entire top fort. Whereas Wildheart was getting these picks, but they weren't actually getting any value from them, and that sort of felt like the story of the whole game, where when Oxygen would get a little advantage, if they'd get a single pick, they would turn that into a lot more. They'd turn it into an objective phase, a double objectives, just 2 shots. They would get structures just manually. Whereas Wildheart, unable to really win the fights even into the late game, feeling a little bit desperate there. Like we could see with those team fights that felt a little bit forced. That's because they knew they were behind and they didn't think that they had a real chance back into the game if they didn't take a really risky fight. The early game, Copen was getting bullied quite a bit on Blaze, but in the late game, like we'll see here, but in the late game, we had Zergling getting bullied quite heavily on that Hogger. This is where Wildheart overextends a little bit in the top lane, and this is kind of just the moment where all the momentum shifted. All it took was one reverse pick from Oxygen. You have the fly-in from Haswabs on the Falstad, Murden going down, and this led to an entire top fort, and basically nullified all of the advantage from those first 4 picks Wildheart had got. And then here, again, we see Wildheart, Zergling just being permanently the focus. The combos from Wildheart, not clean enough between the Hanzo Arrow and the Shockwave. It never really felt like we got a good, clean engage off. I also think the Earthquake was really strange. There we have Zerg just barely not getting the Ancestral. The Earthquake, to me, I don't really understand from Mason Blaze. I really was just expecting the Sundering. It gives you a lot more engage potential, and it allows you to have the chance to just get a one-shot onto the Tracer. But that was not the case, and Oxygen just kind of dancing around Wildheart, waiting for them to use their big cooldowns for engage, and then counter-engaging really heavily. And the Johanna and the Blaze, it's just a lot of HP to get through. Brightwing's not really a target, so you don't have a lot of good targets for Wildheart to really look for in these fights. And it's kind of partially, to some extent, the kind of mistakes, I would say, in the draft being shown on full effect here, where I was talking about the Brightwing and the Johanna, and those heroes were very critical to Oxygen in this game. You have just such a scary front line, untargetable heroes for you to go against, and it's really just Haswabs and Nick on the back line being able to basically do whatever they want because they have such a strong front line in front of them between the Blaze, the Johanna, a lot of space for them to move and maneuver. Wildheart unable to get the engages, and Oxygen just really looking strong right now. Outside of the first 2 minutes of the game, just full control for Oxygen.
There's something that I was noticing in those clips as we were watching them back, is you kind of, as you're in the cast, you're looking for specific things, but now that you're watching back the clips, you can kind of see a couple extra things. The one thing I noticed consistently between Bad Benny and Copen with the Joanna and the Blaze, and I feel like this was just such a 1-2 punch consistently from the two of them, was Joanna stepping in, Big Condemn, pulling in these melee heroes, Hogger, Muradin, Thrall, even Rhaegar, who was, clumped in there, and Jet Propulsion coming in from Blaze, or even the Subdue value. Even though Subdue wasn't finished, as long as you hit 2 or more enemy heroes, you get that 80% slow, and so you would constantly have Condemn, slow, from the Subdue or the Punish, and then you'd have a Jet Propulsion. As we saw in that last clip, there was the huge kind of clump up, and I was even watching there, I was like, Hanzo was way far forward in some of those moments as well, a little too far forward to be able to get hit with an AoE splash of a Jet Propulsion from Blaze. So I feel like as we're getting ready for map number 2, Wildheart cannot allow this Joanna Blaze combo again, because it was just so... It was so punishing, it was so punitive consistently throughout the game. As we take a look into our next map here, I want to get Grubby's thoughts on this map number 2. Where are we heading, bud?
Dragonshire. Gonna be Dragonshire. We could see the return of Yasuo's Kharazim. Kharazim, one of the top picks here because of his quote-unquote teleportation ability. Because pickoffs are important and CC is rife. Level 16 Kharazim with multi-cleanse is a major tool of fighting. You can double support the Kharazim here, or single support.
We did see, we have been seeing a lot more Kharazim lately, and the map records for these two teams, it's going to be Dragonshire 2-2 for Oxygen, Wildheart Esports 3-1. So we have definitely some data here, but a lot of Kharazim has been popping up here justing on this map. Is it the flavor of the map? Is it the playstyle of the map? Or is it just, this is where people feel comfortable and they can pull out the Kharazim?
It's a lot just the way that the map plays out. You have a lot of little skirmishes, a lot of small 2v2s, 3v3s, 1v1s even. And a lot of the supports, like an Anduin, just really provides nothing in those situations. In a 1v1 and a 2v2, he's not going to do anything. He's really more for the 5v5, being able to pull someone, save someone. Whereas Monk, he is the enabler of picks with the 7-sided strike, which is kind of the best way to play the map, is to look for picks. And also he can just 1v1 you, he can just stand and fight you as a support, and most supports don't do that. So you see a lot more Uther, a lot more Rhaegar, and a lot more Monk on Dragonshire.
Alright, well, we got a draft.
A little bit of head-to-head stats between the two teams as well. Is that Wildheart won both of their previous Dragonshire games this season.
Okay, all right. So they're on a hot streak, if you will. They got a hot hand, and they're at the craps table, and they're ready to throw the dice, right, Grubby?
Minus the craps, yes, but they're definitely
okay.
going to throw dice at the opponent. Pointy dice.
Pointy dice, pointy dice. Well, they won't be firing any, there's no Terran tanks to be coming into this game, nor will we see the Banshee Queen, Sylvanas, so no trees to be burned down, but there's the thing that I wanted to see from Wildheart, the Johanna. If they're not going to play it, if they don't plan to pick it, get it out of here. It's gone. So let's see what happens here, Justing, as we're going to get one more ban and the first pick from Wildheart.
Yep, Johanna banned away. I think that's smart. It does leave the Lucio available here, so we'll see if Oxygen wants to ban that. Diablo has been pretty much permabanned against Haben in the games that they've lost on. They're just a lot of games Haben's being targeted on the Diablo, so they have to choose between Lucio or Diablo here. They do ban the Lucio, so Wary not going to get that. So the expectation is to see if they want it that bad, a potential first pick Diablo. It's not really a normal thing you see, but for Haben in particular, it might be the case with the Johanna banned away. Otherwise, offlane priority, all of them are available, so might not be expected. Brightwing a little bit stronger here, but there's so many support options. It could even be a priority ranged with Sylvanas banned away. It's really just up to Wildheart and the way that they want to draft.
First pick Brightwing, so this does leave things like Blaze up and available for the side of Oxygen, as they've been opening a lot of their drafts with that Blaze, and they could grab the Diablo as well. Grubby, I see you thinking there. What you thinking about?
I like the idea of Blaze Diablo, but Diablo has some weaknesses despite being really strong, and picking him without someone that protects him can be a bit risky. So I could also see Blaze Kharazim, I could see Blaze Muradin if you want to keep it really vanilla and neutral. Blaze Tychus. Okay, so now they're saying we may get the Diablo later ourselves, but at least you have to seriously consider if you want Diablo into a Tychus.
This is a question for both of you, just because I don't know off the top of my head. Do either team have a well-rounded Medivh player? Because that's still kind of like Diablo Medivh, still something kind of like floating in the back of my mind for this map.
Zergling's good, right?
Yeah, Zergling can play it, but then it's awkward because he's your offlane player. He can play it, but yeah, it's typically your offlane for Zerg, so it's a weird situation with that. Also, Dragonshire you can make Medivh work, but it's one of the more difficult maps to do it because of that, because of the fact that it's so 2v2, 3v3 reliant. Medivh can save people from that, but you really want to be able to rotate as 4 for the most part with Medivh and be able to use the portals to just get that advantage in the rotations over your opponent. But on this map, there's so many small fights that the Medivh doesn't have quite the same amount of value as some other heroes do, or as he does on other maps.
Okay, I was thinking Medivh and Diablo because of just, well, of course, the combo, but also Medivh being able to portal into top lane, maybe look for ganks, getting just the maneuverability of Medivh with those portals and pushing people around. But Wildheart respecting Nick's Tyrael here. That makes sense. I mean, after yesterday's Tyrael play on Dragonshire, Grubby, could you not? How do you not ban his Tyrael? Like, Nick's Tyrael looked better than some. I said it was like budget Zeratul in a sense.
I mean, Mason Blaze looks incredible on Tyrael as well.
Exactly.
Like it's a strong hero. It's funny, you know, with the Greymane pickup by Ivy Things, I feel like that's a similar warning shot. Don't bring out your Diablo or I'll shoot. Both Greymane and Tychus counters to Diablo. Both of them are saying, hey, Diablo will be threatened here. So it is going to be that Muradin, a bit more safe pick than Diablo. And then with the Rhaegar, a great wave clear. Not going for the Kharazim. I think everyone thought about the Kharazim on both sides, and you know, Oxygen, maybe they learned from 30k that Rhaegar is really, really good.
It feels like Oxygen's pushing Wildheart into a Diablo pickup, but of course that's not going to be the case. We'll see a Garrosh coming through as well as a Lunara. A very well-rounded Wildheart draft here, Justin, but I think I can see in your eyes you've got some thoughts on this. You've got an opinion here. I can see it. Yeah,
it's very weird. There is a playstyle that I used to do on Dragonshire with this map with Garrosh specifically, where you would have a kind of 1-1-3, and you basically would just push down bottom as much as possible with the Garrosh, because no one can really contest the Garrosh on the point, especially not if you have a strong 3-man, if you have like a Brightwing, Greymane, Garrosh, for example. I'm not sure if Lunara or Greymane will be able to clear mid by themselves safely, though. And on the other side, on Oxygen, we have just a full-on pick comp, kind of it's almost a classic Korean-style draft from Oxygen. We haven't seen this in a bit, but the Tychus Li Ming backline is kind of with the Muradin is kind of like and the Rhaegar, now that he's been kind of like soft reworked. It feels like a throwback to that, where it's just the traditional poke composite or pick composition, which is exactly what you want on Dragonshire. You really want to be able to play for picks. You have the Tychus for the percent damage and the Li Ming to be able to finish the targets off when they're low. So pretty much any Stormbolt with everyone around should be basically an instant one-shot that Weary Day on the Brightwing shouldn't really be able to protect against. But they do have the double global. So it's going to be really on Dragonshire, it's going to be into the late game a lot about how Wildheart is able to get value from their globals and how they're able to maneuver that. And if they're able to get an early game advantage through the Garrosh, through the Greymane, because when they're grouped up as 3 or 4 with the Greymane and the Garrosh and the Brightwing, they're very scary. They also have the option of Dahaka dig in. So with no goalie and no one who really has any good wave clear on the side of Oxygen to defend against it, Wildheart needs to get some kind of advantage in the early game with their 3-man and threat of globals, and then late game transition into just playing around their globals.
Well, we'll see what the transitions will be throughout Dragonshire as we've got our teams loaded on in. Hazuab's on the Tychus, Copen on the Blaze, Bad Benny on the Murd, and Nick on the Li Ming, and Yasu on the Rhaegar. On the side of Wildheart Esports, Ivy Ting's on the Greymane, Habit on the Garrosh, Weary Day on the Brightwing, Mason Blaze on the Lunar, and Zergling on the Dahaka. Grubby, there's a topic that I wanted to discuss at the start of this, and the first thing being healing reduction, and it's already being shown to us by Haben right now. He's not going to go into body check, and I feel like, you know, the level 1 Warbreaker, it's good. You got cooldown reduction at 15. You got the damage over time. I feel like body check is great up against things like the Rhaegar. Maybe this is just me being like, oh, big ancestral, big animation, take the talent that reduces the healing. But on that same note, Grubby, Rhaegar, if I'm not mistaken, can go into the Purification at level 7, which is a 40% healing reduction, and that could be a great way to deny Brightwing phase shift. So maybe Rhaegar will go into that. I feel like there's some cool tech we could see throughout the game.
Will.
I do think that Oxygen will take this. There are some cool factors of Wildheart, and I do think, as Justin was mentioning, the global factor can be big later in the game. We'll see how things are going to be split, but the burst ability, the blow up, the team fight, and what we saw from Oxygen in Game 1, I'm leaning for an Oxygen win. Gotta get your thoughts, of course, here for Dragonshire.
Yeah, I'm not that confident in Garrosh picks anymore, so I do feel like Oxygen has a pretty good draft into it as well. While Tychus is a short-range assassin with the minigun, and that can make it risky for him to just step up and attack Garrosh, he's never going to be wanting to do that. He will use Odin, he will throw grenades, he will overkill and kite away, and then only when it's absolutely confirmed that Garrosh doesn't have his stun toss combo available, then you can go in for some clever minigunning. Nick has been doing some tower attacks. I found the Li Ming pick interesting, but I think it makes sense. You want to have a backliner that can dodge Greymane and Garrosh damage, and when you look at Li Ming, she can even dodge auto attacks with teleport. Yeah. You can disjoint auto attacks, go for the throat can be dodged. So yeah, she's really solid at safety. Her biggest weakness is medium wave clear. It's decent, but it's medium. Definitely below average for a ranged assassin. And then her problem sometimes is under contribution. She needs people to be CC'd. She needs people to be hurt. She can be a good finisher. So if there's good enough damage from others and she can finish up, she's a very nice safe hero that can dismount Garrosh, teleport away, be safe.
Ground breaker from Garrosh.
I say that, but
yeah, Nick is going to take a lot of damage, but this is still going to be the indomitable pop by Garrosh. Haben's the first one to go down. Garrosh should be the first one to fall, who had 40-some armor. That's a rough start right there. We do have the Dragon Knight for mid, but no one's there to grab it. Yasu is a little bit low here. There is a very low Zergling. I'm going to check really quickly and see. Yeah, he's got a little bit of Essence, like 211 HP stored in Essence, but this will just be Zergling fine for now. And Nick with low mana poking out onto the fort, but Nick will have to back away with that low mana. Bad Benny might have to come in for the save.
Nick, being a total Storm Leaguer with his Li Ming turret pressure. I like it. He did half damage on the mid tower, half damage on the top tower. He's out of mana, and his continued insistence to stay on the map.
Yeah, it's bothering me.
It's a bit bothering.
Hit
like
B.
Now he's tapping. You know, he didn't even get the level 1 Astral Presence, which gives the extra mana. He wants the bonus magic missile damage. The Force Armor, it's now spell armor and mana. Like, with that one, I can understand staying.
That's just ridiculous. 100 seconds on the well for Li Ming. Rhaegar's grabbing a camp in bottom. We do have the Tychus floating around, brawling out against the Lunara, but with the phase shift coming in from Brightwing, that's enough for Hazoabs to back away. And Yasu slowly but surely is going to grab this camp. He has been missing on map for a while, but I don't know if Wildheart really cares because they could potentially get Dragonite. Of course, early game Dragonite doesn't do a ton. Nick with some magic missiles interrupts, and Blaze in the top lane actually gets the 50%. No, it's the Tychus in bottom. My apologies. He gets the 50%. Copen and Zergling are just battling back and forth. Ivy coming up here. Yeah, Copen recognizes this and says, I got to get out of here.
Li Ming actually, now that I think of it, hold that thought, Copen getting attacked here. He wanted to get the interrupt on the temple. Li Ming actually, I remember now from a pro player, maybe, yeah, I don't remember who, but she's supposedly quite good on Dragonshire because on Dragonshire, oh, nice drag tongue on Tychus. Great plays here for Wildheart, getting a bunch of kills.
Yasu, your base is the other way, bud.
But the thing that makes Ming special is she's one of the safest mid-soakers. And then can still go in and top and bot and get some kills. Oh, he tried to teleport over the hedge. They need to trim that hedge down to half size. 3 years ago it was thinner. It's just been overgrown and he can't teleport over it.
Man, the Dragonshire groundskeepers are just getting real. They're really kind of falling behind on their work right now.
They're dead, actually.
That's what all those skeletons are? Makes sense now in the battleground. But we have Li Ming, Blaze to hold top. Tychus in the bottom lane back. We have Siege Giants up against him. Rhaegar grabbing another camp. And we'll have 10 talents here coming through soon. As I mentioned at level 7, we do have that purification, and it's a 2-second healing reduction by 40%. Or, excuse me, it's healing reduced by 40% for 2 seconds. There you go. My verbiage sounded like a tooltip there for a second. It was all backwards and weird. But Li Ming looking for some damage onto IB as Haben steals the camp away. Haven's like Robin Hood. He's like stealing from the evil Oxygen Esports members and giving to his one. Yeah.
The rich Oxygen. Oh, Weary goes into the Dragonite. He was the only one in range that wanted to go and get in, even though he's the healer. Okay, we got the healer in the Dragonite. Unusual, but played sometimes. Interesting, by the way, Seeker and Disintegrate from Nick.
Ooh, self-ancestral. Whoa, okay. I was gonna say the toss from Haben does kill Dahaka, but Rhaegar does go down the trade. And looking at Muradin, once again, Oxygen keeps forgetting what side of the battleground they're on, I think, because they keep going to the right, and their base is to the left. I hope they recognize this, Grubby.
Yeah, maybe first time Dragonshire for them?
Oh, that could be, yeah.
Yeah, he probably got kicked there, or?
I don't know. I saw Yasu do it earlier as well, so maybe it's just they're just trying to create space so someone else can get away. Because I saw Hazuabs get kicked on the minimap, but either way, I don't know. We'll take a look at all that later. Let's take a look at what happened from the Dragonite, because we got what? A fort front gate mid. What damage in top? Barely any damage in top, and the gate in bottom lane is down as well. So, as Hazuab said with the little interview that you and him did over the past week, Dragonite doesn't feel that strong on the map.
Yeah, it's fine, really. Nonetheless, it is a lead for Wildheart. The kills really tie things up. And I want to see if it's going to be Glass Cannon. Is it going to be Seeker, Glass Cannon, Disintegrate? It is a much safer way to play than with Calamity. Calamity into Garrosh can be really difficult to estimate. If you don't get the kill, if you misestimate, you're dead to a taunt. Oh my god! Drag Tongue on the jet propulsion. Nice job, Zergling. That's a triple Warbreaker. People are dropping real low. There's Avatar Batman. He's trying to run away. He gets into the bunker. He's safe. That was close.
Throws the Stormbolt back to buy a window. I do want to note that there was a really cool mechanical moment from Nick there. He was sitting with the Disintegrate, and Haben comes out of the bush for the Warlord's Challenge, and Nick actually gets the blink away and wasn't going to be pulled in by that one, so just a little cool tech right there. As the fight does continue, Bad Benny back to full HP. That's going to be the Stormbolt onto 2. Disintegrate is going to be kind of... Well, he's going to avoid the damage with the Burrow. Haben's still in the bush right now. No Dragonite available for either side. Haben chunked to around 50%. The other thing to note, too, is you were saying with that Calamity and Garrosh, Garrosh has armor, physical and spell. So when he's low, he's got that physical and spell armor. So Calamity might not get the kill because of the damage reduction from those two abilities. So it is, you are really kind of... You're rolling the dice to keep our dice motif going today.
Yes! Yes! Glass Cannon!
I can't believe he took it. All the Li Ming mains in chat. Wait, Grubby, I don't know about you, but when it comes to builds in Heroes of Storm, there's nothing more disputed than Li Ming builds. People, there's just There's so many wrong ways to play Li Ming according to so many Twitch chatters.
Yeah, there's people like Calamity only, everything else is noob built, even though
Yeah.
Calamity has the lowest win rate on ladder. Then there's people like me, they're like Glass Cannon Seeker, and then there are the absolute, I mean, these are people I can't reason with. I don't even know if I can have a coffee with them.
Don't say it.
I'm gonna say it. We're all thinking it.
Orb.
Orb build. Yarp. Orb build.
The poor sub counts are just dropping right now from all the channels. But Dragonite, the second one available for the game, could be the side of Wildheart here, as IB is just going to be able to clear things out through mid. Bad Benny may be finding a Stormbolt onto the Greymane if we can actually jump back down into mid lane, because there is still those stuns, the combo, as there is that fight into top lane. A little bit of a split moment here, as IB still getting chased by Bad Benny. That is going to be Rhaegar with the bite on the butt, and that confirms the kill. Tychus with the Commandeer Odin in the top area. No Dragonite available. Sunshrine to the side of Oxygen, Moonshine to Wildheart.
And without go for the throat, Li Ming fears reprisal even less. He's just gonna keep his distance to everybody. Every single magic missile is a nuclear missile with that Glass Cannon Seeker synergy. Wham! Did you see that? 40% on Brightwing from downtown.
I'm liking it. And this also will be Dragonite. Muradin, Bad Benny gets inside. Looking at the stats right now, 14,600 HP for the Dragonite, and it's got 293 damage standard, 585 damage into structures. Zergling might be dead in top. He does pop the Essence, but we still have Disintegrate from Li Ming, and that is Blaze kill stealing from Nick. Oh boy, I gotta flame a little bit here, Grubby.
What?
Didn't one of our interviewees yesterday say they were gonna stop feeding?
Oh. No, that was a good gank. That was a good gank. It was nicely done. No, it's not like the other. He had 6 yesterday, or on Friday. Let's see. It's gonna be Fireflies. Kind of makes sense. It's less burst than a Toto Glass Cannon Etherwalker Seeker synergy, but you're much more proccing Seeker. It's better siege damage, better on forts. So yeah, I mean, Firefly should be the choice with Seeker. It's just I usually go Mirable, because then you can actually 4,000 damage someone out of a bush. Oh, what happened there?
It was just all of the pulls and all that kind of stuff, and Avatar almost bought a window for the Dwarf Toss to get out of there, but yeah, it's just good chain CC, and that will be Bad Benny dead for the next 30 seconds. But in that time, no Dragonite will be available. I think by the time Bad Benny's up, we might even have the announcement of the Dragonite, as it's a low cooldown from when the Dragonite falls to when we have the announcement of the Moon and Sunshrine. So until then, Wildheart grabs double camp, maybe even triple camp if they go for their Siege Giants.
They're looking at an invade, but they're too late. Oxygen already have it. Pushing in with a wave and a bruiser camp here. Orb to the face. Fireflies shooting away at the camps.
Disintegrate does come out as well to try and push back the team. The Jet Propulsion connects onto the Garrosh, who's going to pop the Indomitable and back away. He's got a ton of armor right now because it does pair well with the Brightwing. I actually checked it really quickly. He had like 70-something spell armor because of Brightwing adding in a little bit extra, as well as the baseline onto Haven. But with Commandeer Odin expiring and a wave right behind them, Oxygen Esports wants this this fort through bottom. Isolation connects onto the Muradin. He doesn't have Avatar even available, but that is Muradin dead. Really good synergy from the side of Wildheart to take him down. Now Oxygen's on the retreat path, and there's the announcement for that Dragonite.
Really hard to chase into a Li Ming, so they mostly stop. But that was an insanely surgical destruction by Wildheart of Muradin. So good. Avatar, 10 seconds cooldown. Maybe they knew, or they were just trying. Circling isolation from the back into the Drag Tongue. The cleanse didn't help there. It came early on isolation, and then the Drag Tongue overlapped it. It's only half a second of cleanse grace period. And then, yeah, just amazing. Before Bunker and Ancestral could save him.
Mason will get the Tychus short. A little short on the grenade right there. He tried to step up, but didn't want to just overextend and die. Jet Propulsion from Blaze. Is there a Polymorph from Brightwing? We have the Totem down from the Rhaegar. Didn't go into Earth Grasp Totem, actually. Went into Hunger of the Wolf.
Yeah, when you don't go Totem at 1 and 7, Totem at 16, you can still do it, but it's much, much less common. We've been seeing this Rhaegar build probably 2 out of 3 times.
Okay.
We had a totem.
I missed it completely.
Yeah, I think we had a regular last game, and it was totem at level 1 by
It was, yeah.
Oxygen. But yesterday was almost all wolf on 1 and
Yeah.
16 with the purification over. Now there's a big flag by Oxygen. They're moving on Heyman.
Tychus.
He's getting drilled by Tychus. Absolutely destroyed in this 5 versus 4. Ignoring the Dragonite. Pretty good strategy. Getting some Volskaya Foundry flashbacks here. Now Oxygen is going for the keep. Whoa, nice cleanse by Weary Day.
Very good soothing miss. The Commandeer Odin will come down. IB is going to try and jump onto Nick, who gets the Ancestral healing. A little panic right there because Bad Benny's tanking too many tower shots. He's down to like a third of his HP, and look at IB. He's kind of playing the angle here, but now Bad Benny jumps in, pops the Avatar. The keep does go down. Is this just going to be a core call? No, but a keep is down on the worst lane, I guess.
Yeah.
Either way, Lunara will find the keep in bottom lane, a better lane to take down a keep. And I want to point out, 20 talent tier for the side of Wildheart. They may have beat down their Garrosh, but they have the talent tier advantage, albeit for another 3/4 of a level.
Yeah, it's not long. Wildheart could go for the siege camp here despite being down Garrosh, but yeah, altogether too risky actually. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it 3v4, 3v5, 4v5. So Oxygen gets back into their level 20s. Now let's talk a little bit about keep values. There's the most amount of maneuverability via bottom lane and the most camps that go bottom lane. Therefore, attacking the bottom lane direction into core is the best way to finish the game.
Yes.
It's only beginners that still think that ending via top is easy. Everyone that's been burned on that bridge before knows how hard that bridge is to attack via. But it's still decent catapult pressure. Sometimes it can be a part of a whole. Nice heavy impact. There's the cleanse.
Indomitable from Garrosh. Mason low. Zergling goes in with the flank. Is there an isolation? Yes, on to Nick. We do have the phase shift coming in from the Brightwing. Bunker down from the Blaze. Warlord's challenge connects onto Bad Benny. Copen comes out of the bunker, gets hit with the Groundbreaker, and no kills. But here is another Odin as we have the big red button. We also got to point out, level 20, Tao Rash's elements for the Li Ming. She'll be cycling those abilities quite a bit.
All right, Tal Rush has even more spell power. Up to 20 from that, 20 from Glass Cannon, 10% bonus damage, which is different from the level 1. He could have had...
Is it the Power Hungry that you're... Yeah.
Yeah, he could have had Power Hungry. Yeah, right, Power Hungry. But I think Power Hungry is the worst. He could have had 10% more there. But still, 40% and another 10% in missile damage is an insane amount of damage.
Bad Benny actually split off for a second. He was watching the flank, but also grabbing a camp. Really, I actually love that. We didn't talk about that whatsoever, but Bad Benny getting that camp was really, really cool just to deny any sort of, well, we're going to wrap around and flank into you with the Dahaka like we have been, but also Bad Benny can grab said camp, more pressure, and experience. It's just really cool little thing right there from Bad Benny as the tank, as the shot caller. Another objective phase up and available. If I'm not mistaken, this is the 4th of the game in total.
I think so. I think you're right. Now, Oxygen kind of needs to guard bottom lane because the problem for them is that their bottom lane is exposed. They're not as worried about top lane. What's interesting is that Wildheart is not really rushing to go for the Bruiser Gap. They were kind of standing there and thinking. Only now they're going for it.
Also,
Because they were worried whether Oxygen is going to go straight for keep or first take the camp. So they wanted to be near in case it was straight for keep. But now it's dead anyway.
still have Oxygen pushing in through bottom. Is the Snover extension? Dahaka is showing in the top lane on the minimap. He does have Brush Stock available, and I'm just watching to see if he does Brush Stock in. He is going to go right down to the bottom lane, and he's looking at the Moonshrine. Commandeer Odin out from the Tychus, and Oxygen will see that bottom lane Moonshrine going to be converted, but Oxygen backs away. They get one of the big red buttons on the mid lane keep. I feel like Oxygen didn't need to stay down here, but maybe they'll make a big play now that Zergling has burned the burrow. We have a phase shift in from the Brightwing. Isolation connects onto the Murden, the Ancestor healing onto him with the Farseer's Blessing, so we'll get another health bar right there. Stormbolt connects onto Haven. Big red button about to expire for the Tychus, or the Commandeer Odin, excuse me. Objective, potentially, for the side of Wildheart. If Wildheart gets a good fight here, Grubby, and gets objective, they go core, they end.
Yeah. But leaving, Nick is taking the bottom temple away. Oxygen is playing so safe, you know? They're so confident that they can in general win against late game Garrosh. Oh, Nick! Glass Cannon! Oh!
He got shattered.
Yeah, he got... nice. Yeah, Glass cannot, am I right?
Oh!
That was a little bit overreaction on trying to save the Murden when they went for the Dahaka. Without Li Ming, it's gonna be so hard to defend against the Dragon Knight. Wildheart may have been able to get the comeback here, but Hasuops gets some good drill damage.
Yeah.
That's more than 10% of the DK already.
Bad Benny gets the...
He has Avatar. He still has Avatar.
I was worried for him, honestly, right there. But you make a very good point, as I cut you off, that Tychus was shredding the Dragon Knight down to already about 75%.
Tychus gets kicked. But that means the DK walks into keep. Armor debuff and damage. I still think they're ending here. Greymane and Lunara?
They're going to try to. Ivy's going to get the phase shift in from Brightwing. The Dragon Knight still slapping. Core falling below. That's going to be Commandeer Odin out from Tychus. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it does look like the members of Wildheart will take this map. It's not going to be a 3-0, and it is going to be Wildheart who are going to be able to find parity within the series. 1-1, GG, well played. It's going to be a long road for either of these teams to be able to take a victory in this first best of 5. And I'm glad to see that it's a 1-1. I was a little worried that Wildheart was going to get 3-0'd here because of Oxygen's aggression, but I think Oxygen had a couple unforced errors, I guess you could say. Some moments where I feel like, they overextended, they stayed a little too long, and positioning felt a little weird towards the end of the game. That Li Ming getting caught out in bottom lane, I looked away for a second, then she's dead, and I'm like, why were you there? How did that happen?
Well, he was taking the tempo. He wanted to stop the double red laser, right? But I really would love to hear from Justin, not just the whole game, but also there at the end, when they Odin'd at the bottom. What were they thinking?
What were they thinking is right, Grubby. So Wildheart with the globals, like I talked about before in the draft, that late game pressure that creates, where they can have the globals position topside, really hurt Oxygen when they took the trade for the keeps. That was kind of the big beginning of losing on the macro front for Oxygen. Oxygen looked for the picks on top. They got the one pick and they tried to just push top, which you kind of never want to do. You don't really want to commit to sieging top on Dragonshire because, like you mentioned, the death bridge, the bridge of death, you can't siege into that. It's such a bad chokehold for you to be pushing into. It's so easy to defend. The early game was relatively back and forth, and we had this weird situation where the map was kind of flipped upside down. Teams are really playing towards top a lot lately, which is a little bit strange. It just gives your offlane a little bit more priority. But in this situation, it was Lunara versus Tychus just fighting out in the bot lane for pretty much all the early game. None of the early game was hugely important because the objectives kind of just fizzle away. They're typically just split. You just split from your DK and just try to get it to get some value, and the DK is more of just a distraction, it feels like, in the early game. But it was pretty even back and forth for the start. The main thing that started to kind of break the game apart is when they did trade the top keep for the bottom keep. Wildheart got the DK, Oxygen got the picks into top, but losing your top keep doesn't really matter when you have double global. And losing your bottom keep on Dragonshire when the enemy has double global, it's very, very scary. And we did see that played out. Oxygen felt like they kind of needed to just commit to, here we're going to see Haven almost friendly team kill Zergling there with the Yasuo. But they do manage to trade. That was a little bit of a goofy moment. But in the late game, things get really difficult for Oxygen because of those double globals. That's really what made this the way it was in the late game. Oxygen felt like they needed to just commit to pushing bottom and just staying in that bottom lane basically forever, because they know that if they don't create pressure there, they're going to just passively lose the DK to those double globals, which is still kind of what ended up happening in the end. Zergling eventually did go for that cap by himself. He ran top, he got the top cap, he dug bottom, he got the bottom cap, and that creates just such a huge amount of pressure, which is what Wildheart actually used to be able to win the game there. That pick onto Nick was very, very forced at the end, because if Oxygen wants to defend mid, but they don't want to be there as 5, here we see Mason Blaze getting the hip hop over the Li Ming to just one-shot him, just delete the glass cannon Li Ming.
Yeah.
But that was created because of the chaos that happens in that situation where top and bottom are both capped. You need to keep people mid, and you have this situation where you're either going to fight a 4v5 mid while someone goes and caps, or you're going to have to just sit mid forever and take that 5v5, which probably would have been the better option for Oxygen. But Wildheart creating chaos, using their double globals properly in the late game, and just showing why the globals are so strong. Zergling single-handedly capping both objectives and creating that pressure. And unfortunately, Nick giveth and he taketh away with the weird picks. Glass Cannon Li Ming not quite doing it for him in that last game.
You'd think that if Li Ming didn't, at least I was thinking that if Li Ming didn't die there, they would have been able to defend their core, because she's one of the best core defenders. A reset for her would have been massive potential, and I think they could have been able to shred through the Dragon Knight with the Tychus as well. But that is not what happened. It is Wildheart who go up in the series, and we are going to be sitting 1-1 in our scores in this best of 5 lower bracket finals. The winner of this goes up against 30K. The loser will take 3rd place, and that is the end of their Season 4 of HeroesCCL. But of course, As always, we're going to take a short little break here. We got to get these players some water. We're going to stretch our legs. When we come back, map number 3. And in this break, I want you to all hit exclamation point prize pool in chat. I see that we're all kind of pushing that prize pool further and further, and we really appreciate the generosity from you, the community, everyone who loves Heroes of the Storm. We're at $15,415, and if we can hit that $15,500 today, I'll bring Bandit up on stream for all of you, and we can get a high from him. Maybe, just maybe we can somehow coerce Springy some time on the stream to pop up, but that's for the future. Right now, we're going to take that short little break. When we come back, as I said, map number 3 of Oxygen Esports versus Wildheart Esports. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and to everyone watching over at the Wisdom Studios in Mall of America. I hope you all are having a fantastic time eating some delicious pizza and wings. Grubby, did you know that they have not yet named a pizza after us? They could make the Bahamut, a medium pepperoni pizza with wings. They could do the Grubby, some sort of banana pizza. They could do the Justing, which is, I don't know actually what Justin's preferred toppings are.
Left in the fridge.
It's just the smorgasbord of toppings. Okay.
Wouldn't Justin be margarita? Because it's just tomato and cheese?
I like that actually.
Yeah,
I like
Mine
that.
would be with worms.
Yeah.
Or dropped on the floor once.
Oh wait, no.
Yours would be
They could put
fish.
gummy
Spicy.
worms.
Huh?
They could put gummy worms all over it. That way it's
What's
like
that?
a can. Oh, it's like you know, gummy bears. It's like it's like a worm. Yeah. So there you go. Anyways, welcome back to HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. We hope you all at the Wisdom Studios are having a blast, and thank you everyone who's gone out to the Wisdom Studios to celebrate and watch the games, as we are going to go ahead and continue breaking down everything that is Oxygen Esports versus Wildheart Esports in our first best of 5 in this lower bracket finals. As I mentioned before the break, winner goes up against 30K in the weighted best of 7 later on today. Loser will go home and take 3rd place, and that'll be the end of their season. But let's go ahead and find out where we're going to for map number 3, and we'll quickly catch you up as to what maps we've already had. We went to and started things out with Sky Temple, chosen by Wildheart. Oxygen won that one. Oxygen Esports chose Dragonshire, and Wildheart just won that. So we sit 1-1 in our record, and as the losing team, Oxygen, from the last map, they opted for first pick priority, meaning Wildheart Esports will be the ones choosing to take us to Tomb. So let's get some map stats for all of you at home, of course. Oxygen Esports, they have a map record on Tomb of the Spider Queen of 5-3, and Wildheart Esports a 2-2 record, Grubby.
Okay, and in terms of the direct head-to-head, in the regular season, Oxygen and Wildheart didn't play each other on Tomb of the Spider Queen, but they did in the playoffs. And guess who won it? Oxygen.
Okay, all right. So, based on the stats, Oxygen should win this match, right, Justin?
Yes, and based on the trends, they should too, because the team that's been picking the map has been losing. So first pick actually seeming to be an important factor so far in the last 2 games. Both teams, and it has felt like both teams are getting something kind of priority in the first pick. So there's just a lot of things to ban right now, it seems, especially with the teams having their weird kind of niche priorities. So first pick a little bit more impactful than maybe it is in the regular season.
Well, based on your analysis right now, in my notebook, I have my prediction as Oxygen Esports winning Tomb of the Spider Queen. I haven't even seen the drafts. I have seen the script. So I'm just going to say that Oxygen wins this one, but of course we're here into the actual draft of Tomb of the Spider Queen, a map for all of our Cho'Gulls, a map for really big wave clear and rotations. I'm interested to see, Grubby, if we see any special sauce, because these are the do-or-die maps. If you've got something for Tomb, now is the time to bring it out. Not to wait and potentially use it against 30K if you get there.
For real, you want to get top 2, and then you'll see how you solve that other problem. The other elephant in the room. In the previous Tomb of the Spider Queen game, Oxygen used Tyrael, Varian, and Blaze as their front line, with Anduin and Tychus on the back. Wildheart tried to counter with Junkrat, Nubarak, Uther, Ogre, and Sylvanas, which we felt pretty good about. Uther to stop, not too much poke, but it was Nick and Tychus that nonetheless were able to deliver so much poke and damage. Especially Tyrael able to teleport in, smite, auto smite, and then teleport out again. It's got to be on their mind. It's got to be on their mind that Tyrael is an option. They're letting Yasuo get Lucio, and I would not be surprised to see a Tyrael 3rd ban from Wildheart.
I think that's a very good call, Grubby. We did see it actually on Dragonshire, if I'm not mistaken, because of, well, what happened yesterday. And this will be an early Lunara, but I do like the Blaze Jesting.
Yeah, very.
I feel like. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, no. This is fine. Sorry, never mind.
It's a very early Lunara. The priority on Lunara has gone down significantly since the beginning of the season. She was very high priority at the start. It's been a lot less so as of recently. Blaze into Lucio is also something that I wasn't sure if he was even going to take the Blaze, because on paper Blaze is the obvious choice, but into Lucio specifically, it's a little bit difficult when Yasuo can just do a single boop and knock back your jet propulsion. That's really the main value that Blaze gets in these team fights, and to have Lucio be able to mostly focus on you and just knock you away, very frustrating as a Blaze player. So right now Oxygen definitely getting a big advantage in the draft. The Imperial banned out by Wildheart, which is strange because they had the option to pick it themselves. We saw Mason Blaze play it yesterday and just do insanely well on it. So hopefully Wildheart has something else in mind. Otherwise, that ban is a little bit weird because they had the option to take it for themselves. But right now, the first pick, we're seeing why first pick is so strong between these teams. Both teams have things that they feel like they need to ban against each other, and that means that now Yasuo getting the Lucio, we barely ever see it because it's just so strong.
Oh,
The
some
disrespect.
special tech. The disrespect. They're like, wait a minute,
Oh,
Nita.
yeah.
I'm staring at the in-game draft chat to see if there's like a oops tee and nothing. Literally nothing has been said. So don't know if Bad Benny's asleep at the wheel, if they couldn't figure something
Miss
out.
Murky ban.
I mean, they did miss the potential Cho ban. That's the reason. That's what it is. This is gonna be Cho'Gall right here. They want to make sure that we get Cho. Oh, wait, that's not. It's still possible we could get Cho'Gall in the last two picks of Oxygen.
A Tracer is still a possibility
Yes, it
for
is.
Mason Blaze. With Malf there and with Lunara, it's perfect. It's a perfect match. She's decent into Yrel, Muradin, Lucio.
This kind of feels reminiscent of the Sky Temple draft. Oxygen got really good first couple picks, and I kind of feel like, not anything, but I feel like there's just, as long as they get some good wave clear ranged assassins, okay. I also feel like is this a bit of a bait from Wildheart? Like, ooh, we may go Tracer with the Malfurion. Are you going to take it for, like, it feels a little bit like a little baity from Wildheart.
Yeah, it feels like they kind of forced that. I wouldn't be surprised to see something potentially like the Genji come out from Mason Blaze, or something that can deal with these auto attack based heroes. You wouldn't expect to see something like the Artanis, but just something that has some kind of counter to that. Cassia would be something that would be more likely, but the expectation is to see them pick. Yeah, there's the Cassia. So Cassia makes sense. It's the good version of Artanis that you can actually play. it has the.
Yeah, what the hell, Justin?
I'm just joking. Wait. To be fair, I think I've played like 2 or 3 games of Artanis in the CCL. I've played it, on stage before. I'm a fan of Artanis. Just gotta get that out of the way. I'm joking. I'm a big Artanis fan, but my experiences with Zergling playing it, so not so much in the recent past. But we have Cassia picked up by Ivy Tings here. The auto attack counter with the Cassia. You've got the blinds against Tracer, Greymane. That's pretty much all the damage for Oxygen. Muradin also has some auto attack damage. So, and I mean, even Lucio does auto attack based damage. They don't have a lot of spell damage right now. They have Curse Bullet and maybe some Yrel damage with the 13 spell power. But other than that, a lot of them are countered by the Cassia. Anub'arak, played by Haben, will struggle, however, with his low HP pool as a tank on the Anub'arak. Really doesn't like going into the heavy autoers like Greymane. But Wildheart's composition, I don't think there's probably not enough dive to get onto Weary Day on the Malfurion. That would be the main weak link, but he played so well on the Malf earlier yesterday, and also pairing that with the bunker from Blaze, even counter a Pulse Bomb. I think Wildheart's composition looks a lot better to me, and I think Oxygen did fall for the bait with the Malf pick, picking the Tracer they don't really want.
Well, we'll see if the great bait works out for the side of Wildheart, as we do have Oxygen in the blue, Hazuab's on the Greymane, Bad Benny on the Muradin, Copen on the Yrel, Yasuo on the Lucio, and Nick to play the Tracer. Over on the side of Wildheart, we have got Zergling on the Blaze, Weary Day on the Malfurion, Haben on the Anub'arak, Mason Blaze on the Lunara, and Ibitings on the Cassia. I did like Nick's play in map number 1 with the Tracer, not the first minute of play. The first minute,
half a minute.
well, the first that part not too impressed, but the overall scaling, the playstyle from Nick throughout Sky Temple was really cool to watch, and I do have a feeling he can play this really well. I joked around about putting Oxygen as the team to win before the draft even happened, but I do think that they can take this one. It is going to be really difficult, and I think Weary Day and Mason Blaze could be the thing that really turns things around. Of course, Cassia's utility with the blinds, the fend will be very very strong, but I'm banking on Mason Blaze and Weary Day to have a lot of control and damage here. What are your thoughts on the drafts or for Tomb of the Spider Queen, Grubby?
Yeah, I see Oxygen having a full dive composition. We've got 3 frontliners. Greymane is hybrid, Lucio's kind of hybrid, to be honest. And then Tracer can dive. Like, this is a full dive comp, so you're gonna see them target Lunara or Malfurion in particular. Or anyone that gets low and lost their escape tools, but mostly Malf and Lunara. I mean, you always start by attacking frontliners, just so that they're not fully healthy, have all their cooldowns available. But the switch will go on those. Nice job by Oxygen to secure this siege camp. Jet propulsion only hitting a single target. Now the question is, when you do go for Malf and stuff...
Sorry, I was worried for circling.
Are Roots and Twilight Dream too risky? God, these push aways, these sound waves from Yasuo have been so good.
Siege Giants are still just throwing rocks around. These rock lobsters are getting some splash damage to Wildheart a little bit, but a scuffle over bottom, no kills, and we'll just see the siege camp, or excuse me, the bruiser camp to go over to the side of Oxygen on the left-hand side. Both teams far from a first turn-in. Wonder how they're going to play these turn-in phases. Will it be an immediate thing? Will it be grab enough gems for back-to-back turn-ins? You get one wave of web weavers, and then you get a summon immediately, just so you have that secondary push. So like a wave after wave crashing into the structures. I'm excited to see the playstyle from both these teams here on Tomb. But it is a slight lead to the side of Oxygen. How are they have a level lead? Where is that come? Okay, no, it's just minion experience that wasn't picked up yet. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, God, that chunk of experience was throwing me off, but it's just early rotations.
I think Malf has like a death sentence on his head, but after he dies, I think Cassia, Lunara, and Nubrak, they're gonna do a lot of counter damage. Like that's where the concern is gonna be. So it really depends on Oxygen's ability to go in, get a kill, and then leave for a bit and wait for some cooldowns to come back. Overall, though, I do think I like Oxygen's draft a little bit more, even though it feels more unconventional.
Also, you were mentioning, Oxygen has to step in, get the kill, and then try and get away. There's great tools like Stormbolt with Piercing post 10, Yrel Righteous Hammer, Greymane just has Dark Flight. He also went into the Eyes of the Dark at level 4, or actually Thick Skin at level 4, excuse me.
Thick Skin.
Yeah, they actually look very similar in icons. They're both greenish, if I'm not mistaken, but that's going to be some physical armor, which is really good for against the Cassia, but still, you have the roll to disengage, Blink from Tracer, push off from Lucia, so I think Oxygen can step in, get that kill, and get away. It's just going to be trying to avoid, of course, all that incoming CC. And the sidestepping from Oxygen, I believe in it.
24 gems turned in already for Oxygen. Wildheart not able to do just yet. If we were like a big $1 million TV production, for sure, we would have detailed win rate stats on who gets the first turn in and how likely you are to win the game afterwards. Over,
there used to be,
we used to have that, yeah.
Yeah, we used to have it for, like, I remember there used to be a stat for, like, Cursed Hollow or something like that. It was, like, the first team to get the first curse, like, channel, not the first full curse. Like, they had, like, X% to win over the enemy. It was very, very small. Like, it was a couple percent. And then there was other factors of, like, which team gets the first fort down on Cursed Hollow and who yields, like, a higher win percent from that. Mason Blaze will go down because IB and Haben were trying to gank Kazu.
Yeah, Bad Benny with a perfect Dwarf Toss Stormbolt. And then Yasu came in, pushed him back with the Soundwave, turned on the reverse amp. I believe he used it for damage. Yeah, he used it for damage. So, yeah, nice kill.
Justin is actually pointing out it used to be like 90%. Now it's, he's saying, he's like, man, now it's probably around like 40%. And he put a little angry face after that one. So there you go.
Oh, yeah, Justin believes like Tomb of the Spider Queen is ruined by the XP Globe changes. Just because you're much more allowed to go constantly 5-man. So, yeah, like teams generally don't get picked off as much because you're always together. Because you can always come back to your wave and get XP anyway from the XP globes, even if it's a little bit less sometimes. And you can be like 6 seconds late to still get 100% of it. So generally rotations have become more dynamic, 5-mans have become more common.
Well, that is a very, very good point. Pulse Bomb going to be eaten by a beetle right there. Turn availability exists for both sides. We'll see who's going to be able to get that first one turned in and summon these massive web weavers. Greymane Dark Flight's in. Murden with the Dwarf Toss into the bush lands the Stormbolt onto Lunar, who will get cleansed by the Malfurion. Zergling dropping low, but so is Nick and Hazu. So this will be assumed turn-in for Wildheart Esports, as they only need 12. Oh, Copen has one delay. Should get another one here onto Haben. Haben has enough for the turn-in. Meanwhile, just above us, Lunara, I think Bad Benny was trying to turn in as well. I think he didn't get gems in.
Lunara is one of those heroes that when I see most people play it, or myself, even worse, that she doesn't seem that good, but when you see Mason Blaze play it, or someone like him,
Or like Hazuabs, yeah.
strong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it looks insane, like significant damage. Suddenly it's not fake damage anymore.
It's like when you play against those Kiltazads, it's like, wait, are their chains longer than mine? Did they take a talent? Like, I swear to God, when I play against some Kiltazad players, they seemingly have longer chain length, but that is Malfurion to go down. Haben trying to back away. Uriel comes in with the Righteous Hammer and the Avenging Wrath. Cassie is going to be bopped around. Tracer goes in, and it's actually the blue Web Weavers for the side of Oxygen. Now, Grubby, we totally did not forget. Do you want to jump into some Oxygen comms?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
I'm just sitting
pull-
place around.
Still killable. You can do it. The court is dead.
Yeah, that's good.
You can rotate off.
Running into a noob here.
I have bullet in one.
5 on stun.
Bullet is up.
I have bomb, we can lock.
They're
Wait, I
looking
got cocooned.
looking mid. Yeah.
Can you go Mao?
Go on, Malf, go on, Malf.
I'm just stopping Blaze charge.
2 seconds on my D.
I think we're out. I can jump even.
I can push away.
Uh, I'm gonna tap. They will split bot. We push top. Or something.
Don't have top.
He's alone top.
Ah,
Maybe,
they're
Blaze
four
both
here.
bottom.
They're all here.
No, Blaze is bottom.
I'm gonna hit the wall a bit.
Can
but-
get the
Running
rune
a noob.
around.
Stun.
No stun for me.
Bullet in 5.
Miss Blaze. He's coming from.
We're not winning this.
Bullet is up. Yeah, I mean the Malf, we need to be wary. Can maybe turn. No cocoon yet. I
I
have
don't see
bullet up.
Blaze.
5 on jump. I don't have ult yet.
Maybe Anoop.
I'm trying to pay. Can you chill?
Oh, I can't. Yeah, they probably just too hard.
Blaze
I
is
will
coming
clear
again.
top. I will clear top.
Didn't get the wisp.
I got the wisp.
Anubis around here, right? So they might...
Look at there. Look at there. I get cancelled.
So we got to hear from them a little bit right there. I gotta say, Grubby, I listened so intently for specifically Bad Benny because he's so chill with the things that he says, so I missed them half the time. Like, he was just like, yeah, 5 on jump. Like, I was just like, wait, what's he talking about? What's he gonna do? So it's just, he's so chill with, like, in the comms, you hear Hazuabs, he's definitely a leading voice in this, like, I got bullet, I'm ready to go. Do we look at a new Brack? Who are we looking at? So... But I do like the communication overall because there was, I think it was Uriel turning in like, hey, can we chill? I'm turning in. So communicating, I'm not there. But a cocoon onto Tracer right here and the red Web Weavers will descend.
Saved by Lucio's high five there. Uriel comes in for a potential 5-on-5. That's a big pulse bomb on Lunara. There goes the Tranquility. Tranquility usually means get out. You're not getting a kill within the next 2 seconds. You get out. It's a decent heal. Everyone's a little hurt. Wildheart continuing to push in with a full Web Weaver. Bottom is just Chef's Kiss. Siege Camp is going to hold that. But Wildheart does have a good thing going top lane. There is a nice cleanse from Mal from Cassia's Stormbolt.
The Ball Lightning almost getting the kill onto Yasu there. The Bunker getting a little bit of a flame onto Tracer. As the Web Weaver through mid lane, it's going to take down a keep front gate, and it's just now getting to 50%. The top lane Web Weaver, which will be amplified by Wildheart's push, will confirm the fort. This is a beautiful phase of... a beautiful Web Weaver phase for the side of Wildheart Esports, and I'm looking to see really quickly, I'm going to do some mental caster math. Oh, they've got more than enough for a turn, and they got 33 on Blaze, 20 on the Anubarak. Yeah, and then there's a little extra here and there, so they've got more than enough for the 55 necessary. Actually, as we take a look at it, both teams have enough for a turn in, but I would say for the side of Oxygen, I think they need to de-push their lanes, push things out a little bit before they aim for a turn in. Otherwise, it will be one of those defensive turn-ins that just kind of push things out and actually don't get structural value.
To see everyone jumping at Lucio, it's like going outside at night on a hot summer day, and suddenly all the mosquitoes are like, food!
Oh god, that was last night. I went outside to go say hi to a neighbor, and I was standing out there for 5 minutes. I was like, I gotta go inside. I'm just getting eaten up. Like,
Yep.
it's just too bad.
Open. He does have Ardent Defender still for the absorption. Lucio goes in, gets a reverse
Cocoon?
amp cancel. Okay, he needs high five. If they can stop Meridian from getting there, but they're just gonna focus on
Tracer's in
Nubarak for
range,
now.
yeah.
It takes a lot of damage. Tracer on Malf.
Whoa! Oh, good night. A singular strike will take down Lucio as the Nubrek will be traded. The Ardent Defender, as you had mentioned, will be used, and it's, wow, beautifully played by Wildheart. Double Stormbolt from Bad Benny. He Dwarf tosses away. Wildheart on the road for a really, really good turn-in and push here. They had 69 gems in their pockets, going to turn in enough for a Web Weaver here. Actually, they're going to be just shy because they want to tag boss. Blaze has enough for the turn-in, and Blaze will get said turn-in for his allied crew. This should time out pretty good, actually, with the Web Weavers. Grubby, could you break down what we just saw in that engagement? Because Lucio just 0 to 100. Or 100
Yeah, let's
0.
look at that fight. Lucio was stuck there. They decided to go for a Nubarak. How did they actually get a Nubarak? Ah, it's Greymane and Yarel focused him, which also meant that Lucio had no additional jump away points for high five.
Yeah.
They did get the Nubarak, but then they lost to Lucio. And then this root from Weary Day was just sick. He had fantastic roots yesterday as well. Really dangerous on that hero mouth. Now we've seen that fight again. Now we're going to see the objective and the boss. Shall we jump into Wildheart comms?
I would love that, Grubby. Good call.
We're gonna be 16 still. Afterwards, we get bot 4 with 16.
Only you're all showing sideways. 5v4 right now.
Use all your spells.
Okay, they're all 5. They're all 5.
We're gonna be 16. It's gonna be 16.
Look at Yasu on this rotation right here. Right here.
I'm looking. Nice try.
Haven, I hold.
You're all.
Hi, bunker if you need it. Can you go walk in or no?
Yeah, we can walk.
Walk in and burn.
Yeah, building. It's almost done.
We
I mean, we can even go.
You can pressure.
Pressure.
Great make.
Hi, Benny. This is maybe too hard. Look at Weary.
Help, Weary.
Check or maybe hit core.
Greymane.
I'm a core.
I don't know if we try. I'm on core only.
Lucio's one.
Yeah, only car.
Baby.
Nice.
And with that, a dominant end to... Wow, Tomb of the Spider Queen. I joke around from time to time, Grubby, that Tomb is one of those maps that's like 12 or 24 minutes, and right there, it was like 12 minutes something seconds. That, I gotta say, in the comms, MVP Haben, because everyone was like, you could hear Zergling, like, I don't know if we can do this, and everyone's like, we back away, we do this, and then Haben's just like, go, core, this, that. I loved it so very much. Shout out to Haben for that just leadership in those moments of kind of wobbliness, if you will, in the comms that we were hearing, and we got Justin back into this. I gotta get your thoughts as well, because you heard what they were talking about as well, Justin.
Yeah, I think that was spearheaded by Mason, actually, at the start of that, and you can hear through the comms.
My apologies.
No, it was like no Mason the whole time. We heard Weary Day stepping up a lot in comms, which you'd love to see, especially him on that mouth. Normally, we heard him in the interview for the player intro. We heard him, he's very, in all his interviews, he's always really laid back. He's really just calm. And to hear him kind of like popping off in the comms, I'd love to see that. Love to see him on the mouth, taking control of the game, kind of having tons of comms. It's an angry Weary Day, and you love to see it, because that's a rare thing to see. And then we don't hear Mason at all until the very end, and everyone's like calling to different things, and Mason's just like, core. Like, he says the one thing, and then they all hear it, and they're like, Mason has spoken, like, go core. And then they all pile into the core. Really, really decisive by Wildheart, ending the game super early, not having any of those late game nerves, not having any of those passive decision makings, playing for the aggressive plays. You love to see it. It's a Wildheart reborn after their matches previously in the playoffs so far. We had Weary Day, as always, popping off on Malf. He'd be my MVP again on the Malfurion. He's just looking so strong on this hero. It's a hero that in the past I think I'd been a little bit critical of him on when it was more meta, but as of lately he's been like really stepping it up. He's hitting just raw roots to set up for Haben. Typically it's the other way around. This was the fight that really sealed the deal. This is the fight that won the game for Wildheart. You have the cocoon onto Lucio, immediately deleted, just one shot between the burst damage from Mason Blaze on the Lunara and Ivy Tings on the Cassia. Ivy Tings decides he doesn't want those gems, and he goes ahead and gets the follow-up on the root. The two-man root that just perfectly sets it up for the team. Those are an easy 2 kills based off the back of the Weary Day Malfurion. Just completely different Wildheart in the late game there, just turning it on, and they had, you could hear like the indecisiveness at the start from Zergling being like, I'm not sure, like getting a little bit not as confident as they need to be, and the rest of the team just being like, no, we're going, like we're new Wildheart, we're angry Wildheart, we're going, like we'll try. And they tried, and they completely smurfed it. So Wildheart looking like they're pulling the momentum back at this point in the series.
I made the comparison, the illusion that Oxygen was, sharks in the water, they're in a feeding frenzy, but Wildheart must be some sort of megalodon and just able to come in and just kind of chomp up Oxygen, because right now we are on the precipice, the edge. We are one map away from Wildheart going into the best of 7 grand finals up against 30K. 30K wants this matchup. I know Wildheart wants this matchup. I'm sure Oxygen doesn't want to lose this map, but it's going to be... This is a tense one, Grubby. Like, this is do or die for Oxygen right now. And it's kind of crazy. Like, I wasn't expecting Oxygen to be the one with their backs against the walls at this point in this series.
Well, fair enough, right? Wildheart was 5-4 against them in map score this season, so it should come as no surprise per se. But we somehow had gotten into our heads that Oxygen was the slightly stronger playing team between the two of them. And now Wildheart is once again proving how small that gap is, or maybe even how big that gap is the other way around. They could go 3-1 here, actually. They might be the better performing team today. What is sick, though, is the speed with which they finished that game.
Oh, yeah.
They were 3-4 in takedowns, not in their favor. The only 3 kills they got was off the back of Yasuo trying a really deep 1v5 interrupt. That's where, like... If you were to blame your Storm League ally, that's where that would be. Like, for all we know, they tossed him. Yasuo, can you go cancel? This is really important, right?
True.
But like, if that was just him going solo, that's where it all came undone. And they could have let him go, but they tried to save him, and it was close. But Weary Days roots were too good. But that's that kind of feels like a suck out in poker terms, where you had Oxygen kind of leading in terms of the kills, and then suddenly the other team comes in and just straight up finishes it. Wildheart really has to be commended for how ambitious they were with that. And things could have looked very differently, but now it's match point.
Yeah, the reverse Uno. The reverse Uno in that moment as we take a look at our next map. Could be the final map for Oxygen in Season 4 of HeroesCCL, or could be the jumping point for Oxygen to be able to continue this series. In a map number 5, we've got Wildheart Esports taking us to Towers of Doom. Ooh, here, Justing. This is a very, very fun map. There's a lot of different ways to draft for this map. Vikings, Abathur, bottom lane push, Sylvanas, Rexar all over the map. There's so many different playstyles. I'm excited to see what we could potentially see from Oxygen and Wildheart on Towers of Doom.
And this is a situation where Wildheart should potentially get a good advantage in the draft, depending on how much the Vikings are feared for them. We saw Zergling play the Vikings to great effect previously, so whether HoTS is comfortable being able to pick his Vikings out, we'll have to see. There could be a bit of a mind games, because both these teams can play Vikings, both these teams have played it, it's just Wildheart played it more recently. So Vikings definitely on the table. That's going to be the main thing that people are going to be concerned about. And just based off the draft in the last game, first pick maybe losing a little bit of its priority as the trend was broken. Even though Yasuo got the Lucio, they did still lose the game with that first pick advantage, and they lost it very fast against Wildheart. So the draft meta may be unraveling a bit here for the side of Oxygen. They might need to change some things if they want to be able to stick with it in the series.
I definitely, Grubby, do you think Oxygen will give up a third ban?
Probably not, but as an exercise, I always say what I would have banned if someone misses a ban, be it me or someone else.
Yeah, what would have you banned?
What would they have banned?
A new Brack, totally.
See, I don't think they would have banned either of their picks either. So, anyways, the Malf or the Noob isn't really super expected, so I think it's kind of fine. Like, I don't think that would have really changed the draft, most likely.
Yeah, normally Muradin kind of likes playing into a Nubarak, because he's a bit more double stun resistant. Like, he doesn't die from it that easily, and he does really good auto attacks. Like, he wins one-on-one bashing each other's brains in. So, yeah, I don't think that would have been a ban. So technically not wasted, maybe, question mark?
We are gonna allow, or excuse me, not we, Wildheart is gonna allow Yasuo to potentially get that Lucio again here in the ban phase. I mean, I wonder if Wildheart just kicks things off with a strong double soaker between top and mid, like a Dahaka again, or we maybe see a later game Viking, but maybe an early game a Nubrak Justing potentially, because that felt like a really good shutdown onto the Lucio with the Cocoon.
Yep, and there it is right away. So the Anubarak ban not going to be able to come through on the second rotation because they've already taken it. The Blaze picked up as well. Muradin is available. Johanna is not. With Johanna and Diablo banned out, you do start feeling a little bit pressured on that tank role. The expectation is to see Bad Benny probably pick the Muradin. Varian is still a thing that we don't see all the time, but it's still viable. Garrosh we don't see too much. Stitches is sort of an option later on in the draft. They could pair it with the Junkrat, but it is the Varian. So yeah, that's the tank pool being taken apart a little bit. He does fall to the Varian. A little bit weird with the Junkrat, but you don't really want to play Lucio alongside of Stitches, so from that perspective it makes sense.
So now it gets to a moment where you don't really have a lot of tank killing potential yet. You've got Taunt into Concussive Mine, but you need someone to be a tank killer. Nick has to be that person. Copen is going to be on the off lane, so what will Nick go that can kill front lane? Imperius? Thrall?
I like the Thrall.
I like Imperius. Tychus is kind of the obvious choice, but Wildheart has the option to pick 2 of them if they want. If they want to run anything to deny it, they can deny the Thrall, they could deny the Tychus. It's kind of up to Wildheart what they leave for their flex. So they're saying Oxygen can have any choice of them. I think that's fine. There are enough percent damage choices that it's not a huge deal probably for Oxygen.
I think the assumption is going to be like a Tychus, and then you still need something for your double soak. Maybe like a Tychus and a Dahaka here. I think the synergy could be really good. Dahaka with the drag, global value. Could even look at maybe like a Falstad as well if they're a little afraid on the side of Oxygen. Get those Gusts in there, have a secondary global as well. Like Dahaka Falstad could be a great synergy on top of it, but I'm not even close here, Justin. It's going to be a Cassia and a Leoric. I do want to get your thoughts here because, well, we've got one more pick coming through from the side of Wildheart.
So they don't go with the obvious choice for the percent damage from the Nick position. They have the Cassia, which could be the auto attack build, which gets some percent damage, but it's not like the tank killer in general. Instead, they opt to have the Leoric in the offlane be the one that is the tank killer. Leoric does have a good matchup into Blaze in the 1v1, so that's good for Oxygen. It's okay, and we see the Ivy Ting's Hanzo last pick, the fabled at this point, after what we've seen recently of him playing it. It's just a really normal, well-rounded draft for the side of Wildheart, and on the side of Oxygen, this is a situation where they kind of want to play to out-sustain. It's a little bit strange because they're the team that has the Varian, which typically wants to play for one-shots, and it is Varian into Stukov, but Oxygen doesn't necessarily have kind of the amount of burst that you would expect to have follow-up for a Varian taunt. They have Cassia and Junkrat, which has displacement from the Junkrat, and they could potentially combo it into a Junkrat trap, into a Junkrat mine, but just the damage itself is not quite there to be able to burst easily through all of the just damage reduction. You have the potential 13 cleanse from Lunara coming out as well to supplement the Stukov. So not sure if Oxygen will be able to get enough value. I think that Lunara cleanse might actually really be kind of the thing that swings it in Wildheart's favor. And Wildheart has a composition where they can fairly easily play front to back like the last game they have in a Nubarak, but they don't need to dive into the backline to win fights. So any random stray impale that goes across the team into Oxygen might be a kill for Wildheart. But into the very late game, Oxygen might win. So if Oxygen can hold out to level 20s, I think their 20s would be better. But we'll have to find out.
Thank you, Justin, as always, for the analysis, because we're here into map number 4 in our best of 5 lower bracket finals. As I mentioned, winner goes up against 30k, and that could be Wildheart. But let's introduce our teams. Oxygen in the blue, Hazu on the Junkrat, Bad Benny on the Varian, Copen on the Leoric, Nick on the Cassia, Yasu on the Lucio. On the side of Wildheart, who are looking for a map 3 victory through, or map 4 victory through Towers of Doom, Wildheart Esports, Zergling on the Blaze, Weary on the Stukov, IB on the Hanzo, Mason Blaze on the Lunara, and Haben back on his Anubarak. I think Grubby, I think we go to a game 5. I think Oxygen takes this. Like that's my gut feeling. That's where I'm coming from. It's my gut feeling. I'm gonna trust my gut. What do you think here?
I wonder what this comp does, because Justin kind of highlighted it. Varian plays for one shot usually, and Junkrat, Cassia are sustained. So what does it do? You go in, you taunt someone, you pop him over with the concussive. The Orc is getting bullied right now by Mason Blaze and Circling.
He should die.
Yeah.
Bad Benny might actually die too.
Yep.
Oh no, Yasu's here.
Yeah. Lunara may actually die.
Yeah, no.
There's another Q.
Wait.
Everyone may actually die.
Wait, hold. Leorc's back. Double kill for Wildheart at the start. I think that's actually pretty big for Wildheart. Ooh, that's not the jet propulsion you want, but if they can get... it's going to be very hard to get Yasu. Sorry. All right, Grubby, thoughts. Continue,
great casting by us the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, just cloud music is playing in the background right now. That's just Warak edit that over us.
Anna's still waiting. Yeah, you can release now. Oh. Sometimes, like, I asked Logan to wait to have his breakfast, and then I forgot to give the release command. Yeah, and then like
Grubby.
20 minutes later, there's drool all over the floor. He's looking at me in the most insistent way. He's like, I'm still waiting, boss. I'm
He's
like,
a
oh
good
god.
boy. He listens
He's
so
right.
good. Bandit would eventually give up and be like, "All right, dude, you forgot. I'm going."
My owner's going senile. It's okay. I'll still be there for him.
Because I have done the same thing where it's like you make them sit, you fill the dish, and then you know just a little bit of training. So it's
A
always
bit of
good.
discipline.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where it's just like, oh yeah, hold on. Hazuap's bottom lane. He's fine.
Yeah, question mark. What does the comp do? I guess they have some cool isolation tools. Junkrat, Leoric, there's a good finisher in Cassia with the E. He has auto attack build, which will help a bit into a Nubarak. But I think what I'm most excited about for Oxygen is the synergy between Lucio's level 16 non-stop repeats of his E healing, which is called what? Amp It Up? Yeah, Amp It Up. And then the level 16 spell power for Variant Banner, and then the 20 cooldown reduction. So you're constantly getting insane amounts of healing, and that is going to be so strong into Lunara. It would need Ivy Things level scatter arrows to burst someone down through that. Luckily, they have an Ivy Things on Hanzo, and luckily, this is a much better map for Hanzo, for Ivy Things, than Sky Temple was, where they lost with that Hanzo. Oh!
I don't know how Junkrat got so low right there. I'm assuming it's going to be from Ivy with a bunch of scatter arrows. Over in the top lane, Yasu has been delaying out Zergling and Mason Blaze from this top right channel. Mason Blaze so very low. Whoo! I definitely would not be stepping back in for the auto attack if I was Mason Blaze Lunar right there. I wouldn't be doing what Zergling's doing either. Oh my god, these members are quite literally playing with fire, but doing a really good job min-maxing their HP against 3 enemies that are, well, full HP and have dive ability. I do want to ask you one question though, Grubby, as I want to continue talking about this Cassia a little bit. What are your thoughts on 10 for Cassia? Do you think they go fishing with a Valkyrie to pull people out, or do you think it's just ball lightning for the team fighting? Because a Stukov with, he spreads the pathogen, I feel like that can really just kind of stop any major value from a ball lightning, but yeah.
Ball lightning can also get disjointed by bunker. Nonetheless, I still think you go for the ball lightning just to burst people down. You want to burst people down with Varian, and ball lightning does that job. With Junkrat, you have a decent chance to isolate someone away. He has sticky wicket, so he's going to have the silence. That means even a Nubarak can be bursted.
What if they just went Rocket Ride for the single target deletion? I can't even finish the sentence, but we do have the camp still over the side of Wildheart. That is Bad Benny jumping in. He's very low. He tries to protect. He should go down, but he's not going to because Yasu's got the healing necessary. Bad Benny able to back away with a couple hundred HP. Copen very low in the Leoric. Yasu with the knockback. That's a snipe from IB. That might be the damage over time. Bad Benny. Oh my god, Yasu's trying to just heal 2 health pools and he just can't do both. So, 1 will fall, scatter into the corridor.
You hate to see it, that a team loses a 5 versus 4, and then the other team gets the camp in the top lane at the same time. We were 5v4, what happened, you studs? Wildheart did really, really good there. They defended the engage. Normally, this is supposed to be a happy occasion moment for Variant teams. They have taunt, and that's a kind of like an ultimate ability, heroic, and the other team doesn't have 10 yet. So with Varian pre-10, but post-4, 5v4, you absolutely want to be netting a win. Wildheart just smacked that down. And that is not a good sign for Oxygen, but it's a very good sign for Wildheart. They're doing really well.
They've got the talent tier advantage in like a 16th of a level right now. This is going to be traded objectives on the left and the right-hand side. No shot advantage from either team either, as there's no bell tower conversion just yet. 10 talent tier, pretty standard across the board. Dragon's Arrow, Bunker, Massive Shove, Cocoon. Lunara holding. She could go Thornwood if she wants poke, so she doesn't, step into the enemy. There's a Cocoon onto Cassia. See what the play is off of this. Aben should have the interrupt. Really good lurking arm underneath. That will be the interrupt from Yasu, but Lucio still goes down.
Bad Benny trying to run away. Pretty good body blocks by Haben. Bad Benny does get away. Another kill. 5 kills to 0 for Wildheart. They traded core shots. They're 5 points ahead. Towers of Doom, though, it's a classic, Bahamut.
It is a classic map. It's anyone's game until it's over. I know that, yeah, that's... That's like, every map is anyone's game until it's over, but it's just, it's really one of those maps that you could... I can't tell you how many games I've casted of Towers of Doom that are 2 to 26, and 10 minutes later, or even 5 minutes later, it's 2 to 2 and everyone's fighting over a boss. Like, this is the map. This is my favorite map to cast personally. One of my favorite maps to play as well. Just so much fun competitive levels with this one. And, as I mentioned in the draft, different varieties of drafts. But the variety is looking good for the side of Wildheart as they have found those 5 kills. They have the experience advantage. And our next objective will be double. Do you want to jump into Wildheart and see how they play this?
Let's do it.
Outside. I'm here. They don't see me yet. They don't see me. Can you look at Cassia?
I'm looking for arrow out of vision, maybe on Yasu. Next time you try.
Hey,
Here, no. Yasu,
Show.
Lucio's low.
Cassia?
Nothing.
I don't have anything.
Can we run?
They're all low.
Maybe Benny? The arc's kind of low. I have E for one stall.
Can we try to cap
Come
one?
on, heal. Come on.
Can we have Lenara mid and then everyone else cap bot? Is that possible? Junkrat's
I can stall
bottom.
bottom.
I think we have to...
Junkrat's kind of low.
Variant's down here. Variant's here. Careful. Looking at IB. Nice show.
I have
They're not
top.
capping yet. I'm up now if you guys can
Lucio's
stall
capping
bottom.
top.
Just
I
stall
can stall
bottom, I
bottom
think.
with E. If
Yeah, you
Watch,
saw
there's why you
your
trap there.
I can't.
Body. Yeah, damage.
I'm going mid.
Yo,
We
can
need
we just
13 for
chill off the
cleanse.
first engage? Play a little slower. Let me get my heal off.
They're looking mid right now, maybe. Once I'm 13 and like
A lot less jointed, more disjointed in these comms than it was on Tomb of the Spider Queen from Wildheart. Arrow from Ivy, though, will be coming through, and I might have just cast or blessed them after we leave those comms, Grubby.
Yep, exactly. That was a really nice arrow there, hitting its mark. And Nubarak was low, but Haben getting some value from that level 1-4 talent spec.
Oh, yeah.
1-4-7, in fact. Lots of spell armor. And having it more often, having the move speed. Haben scuttling away like a cockroach surviving a nuclear attack. And he's going to go on with the Carapace build. Urticating Spines, a little bit of return damage. 16, of course, going to be epic enter. Then level 20, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes Trader King against a comp like this.
We've seen so much Trader King, and I'm loving it as we do have a very low nick on the left-hand side of the screen. Yeah, so you're trying to find some value. Riptire from the Junkrat will be coming through, but this is cleared out immediately by IB. I think he might have landed a scatter, or he just got a Stormbow, and there was some help from Weary, but it's going to be Lucio and Leoric to fall. Zergling, Haben, IB, they're all so very low. Single altar in the center of the map. Will Wildheart go for the bell tower conversion? Don't know if it's greedy because... Oh, if that arrow connected, that would have been huge. Instead, it's going to be Varian with the taunt, and now Wildheart backs away. I think they still get the channel here, though Leoric did cheat death, and it's 4v4 in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that was a really important taunt kill for Oxygen, and Haben gonna be kicking himself a bit for that one, staying inside the keep shots, being tauntable. Another taunt, mostly just for safety as well, gets him out of it. Ball Lightning hits a single target. Zergling, if he dies here, that's gonna feel a little silly, but he gets away. Nice save by Weary Day and friends. Is anyone channeling yet?
No.
Inexplicably, Junkrat went for the Goblin Sapper cap during all this. That's how confident Azu Ops and Team are that they can get this objective.
But that gives time for Haben to respawn. It's going to be 5v5 around this objective. We'll see some healing pathogens spread. Zergling needs to reset full. Sapper Camp and bottom lane to be cleared out. Both teams have 13 talent here. We also have that healing reduction from the Varian, that Mortal Strike 40% reduction for 4 seconds. But the big thing also to note on the opposing side, Collision Course for the Blaze. He has amplified damage from his Jet Propulsion, 476 damage, and right now that baseline is around 90 or so. So it's still a decent amount of damage, 566 damage onto the target. Yasu going for the channel. Haben looking for an interrupt with an impale, but his lurking arm is actually going to be out from Weary Day. Junkrat still poking in, some pings onto Copen. Now look at Blaze, he finds the Jet Propulsion, but no, actually, there's going to be a Wraithwalk from Leoric. He's out of there. Still, Junkrat goes to top lane. I'm looking at vision really quickly here, Grubby. Junkrat shows to the side of Wildheart, so Wildheart knows that they have the advantage, and Haben steps up to go for the channel.
Previous game was lost for Oxygen when Yasuo went in for an interrupt 1v5. That is stark in his memory as he was thinking of repeating the same thing, but he's not going to do it this time. Oxygen gets the experience lead by a bit with Leoric and Junkrat doing top and mid, but they lose the objective, equalizing the core points. Experience is more important than core shots. That's what wins you the mid to late game. And 2 misses, that's a really... Oh my god, they get a Nubrak this time. It was enough this time.
Very close to Nubrak getting away. The arrow almost getting the stun and stall that was necessary for the burrow to get out of there, but now Nubrak's dead for 28. I'd say the timing is good for the side of Wildheart on this death, though, because we don't have any objective phase up yet. It's a triple objective phase soon, and the announcement is a 30-second announcement, so we already got 17 seconds on that death timer. Nubrak should be able to get back into the battleground and onto the battleground to contest as Blaze gets another camp for top lane, continuing to whittle down that structure. And speaking of whittling, we've got a little bit of pressure from Nick and friends onto the bottom lane fort. Actually, it's a keep now.
Ready, going deep. That's a taunt on Stukov.
Riptire.
Healing. Riptire. Wow. Nice kill. Really deep kill.
But a staggered death that's very good for the side of Oxygen Esports and starting to bolster their experience over Wildheart by almost a level.
I think they have really strong level 16s. We're having the Banner of Dalaran, 20 spell power, Royal Focus. Finally, Leoric's E build is complete, where he can reduce people's damage. You get the percentage damage from Cassia on the auto attack. Up the frequency, arguably, despite all those, even being the most relevant. Lucio gains 7.7%. No, he gets 7.7 auto attack range and resets on Amp It Up. It's gonna be sick.
You usually go for the other talent that no one can ever pronounce correctly, but we have a triple alter phase, sappers through bottom. Things are starting to favor Oxygen Esports a little bit in this post-16 era of Towers of Doom. 1, 2, 3 sappers through bottom. Hazubs spends a round of his frag launcher grenades to try and take down the fort. Haben eats one of those. So what do we have at the end of this? 8 shots into Wildheart, 4 shots into Oxygen, but it's only a 4 HP difference on these cores. Boss could equalize things if a fight goes to the side of Wildheart soon. We'll see. A camp invade.
Another invade. It feels so risky invading into Stukov and Hanzo, and they decide they changed their mind. They're going for Blaze now.
Bunker. Arrow from Hanzo connects onto a few. High fives from Lucio stop the stuns. Zergling pops the Pyromania. He's got that mortal wound applied to him. Leoric goes in with the Wraithwalk, but he's trying to reduce the damage. Riptire from the Junkrat will be utilized. Copen very low. Lunara, those Thornwood Vines, as I mentioned earlier, are so very strong. Now this is looking reminiscent of Tomb of the Spider Queen at the end right there. Oh my god! The humanity!
Yeah, Lucio post-Cocoon is not a happy man. He has no wall ride bonus at that time. High five doesn't give unstoppable until the fingertips touch. And Junkrat was just too far away. A brutal execution of the free DJ. Did we say we have a replay? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, so they go for Blaze. Look at that. Arrow hits 2. Blaze tries to jet propulsion right out of the bunker. Does miss, actually. And they go for Blaze again. You have the double people going for the Blaze. Riptire follows. Yasuo and Nick are like a little bit hesitant to follow. Finally, Yasuo goes in to do a high five on Leoric. But Leoric just teleports back, which suddenly leaves Yasuo alone in front. And Leo still went down.
Dang. What a play from the side of Wildheart Esports as they have 5 potential shots. Yes, they actually will get 5 shots into the enemy core. I'm watching boss, and it seems like this is Oxygen just feigning that they're around the boss. Cassie and crew will go back and push up into the top lane, but they might get flanked here. 20 talent here, half a level away for the side of Oxygen. Burrow from Haben doesn't connect. I'm just looking to see. Okay, this is tenuous, I think is the right word for this.
Definitely. And we do a quick hero damage overview. Oh, Oxygen looking to take 4 points off the map. This could prove to be crucial. They have good tools for defending this. Their own bell tower is still dead anyway. They can just focus on that after. They didn't want to give this away while being forced to defend their own bottom bell tower. I like that decision quite a lot. Suddenly they take the point lead. They still have the XP lead. Now the only thing Oxygen needs is bottom fort again, where there's also a sapper. And Wildheart kind of feels like they were AFK the last 20 seconds. They were watching it happen.
Yeah.
Neither are they pushing the sappers in, nor are they defending bottom fort, nor did they stop boss.
When they got that double kill, I personally, in my mind, I was thinking boss then go bottom or bottom then boss, because even when they finished the bottom lane conversion and all of that stuff, Wildheart still had, or excuse me, Oxygen still had 2 enemies dead, or yeah, 2 heroes dead for like 20 or so seconds. It would have been close, but I do think Wildheart could have gone boss if they were more decisive in their decision making in that moment. I think they definitely could have gone for both, but that's in the past. Let's look towards the future, as it's a single altar phase, 4 to 4 shots potential. Wildheart has a few structures a little low here, so Sapper through bottom could get that bottom lane bell tower converted. When we look at the 20s, no Trader King. It's going to be rewind.
Not a merchant, no Trader King. And we have the Buried Alive here for Leoric, so if he can land an entomb on someone. Oh, there we go. That's a Nubarak, not able to burrow charge. Riptire comes in. Ivyting's trying to take it out, but he takes it to the face. Bunker comes in. Leoric goes back. Doesn't want to die. No Leoric value right now.
I was staring at Lucio. He was high-fiving around, and actually that ate the cocoon. You can actually see cocoons on a 60-second cooldown, because Lucio was, he was literally bopping around high-fiving to a bunch of people, and that let him, or stopped any sort of cocoon potential. We do have that bullseye from level 20 on Ivy as well. This area with these scatters could be big. 4 to 4 in shots, concussion mine, and I think Wildheart gives this away.
It was absolutely disgusting how much Hazuop's damage was with the endless nades constantly impacting the level 20 bonus AoE. And then, just getting that cooldown reduction. So much damage that Wildheart just had to leave.
Massive shove, I heard it go out.
Look
Huge
at
Buried Alive.
Insane healing. Infinite Ball Lightning coming in as well, getting a kill there. Actually, it's not Infinite Ball Lightning, it was Finite. Finite Ball Lightning, even more precious. It's rare, it's scarce. But I would love to see a replay of that and just see Variant's health pool again. It's a combination of, it's a really happy combination of Lucio's E-healing, which is extra.
Amp it up, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get the spell power from 16 banner and the healing amplification from level 20 banner. If you can just see, because Varian was like, let's look at it. Varian 10% inside that entomb. So Bad Benny in front, he's taking all the damage, 10%, boom. Look at this amount of healing. He's full. He's almost full. And he uses the charge to go out of the entomb. Actually, pretty funny, like Cassia E and Varian E, the 2 charges, they are quite good at being super fast and go far if you go around a wall. You click on a very nearby point, but it's around a wall. You can get insane movement speed. Oxygen taking full control of this game. They have the barrage. This is insane.
I think
this is it. Yeah, it's got
Wildheart literally post 16. Here's my analysis, and I'm curious if Justin agrees with me on this one, but it feels like post 16, Wildheart hasn't been able to step into Oxygen whatsoever. Yeah. Post 20, that's even more so of a detriment. And I said it's over.
Not over.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet. This is actually the setup I was talking about earlier. 14-2 in core HP. Singular altar, 20 talent tier apiece. Wildheart still could be in this one. That's a big entomb onto the main tank. Bunker down from Blaze, which allows the Anubrak to get out of the Buried Alive. There's an arrow that goes a little wide on the left side of our screen. Still, singular altar at the bottom. If Bad Benny and crew can get a singular kill, they could be able to get this bell tower. But Mason Blaze will be interrupted. Will not be interrupted. It's the healing path to the Jin. Ball Lightning spreading to Zergling and Haben. There's another interrupt onto Mason Blaze. Haben has to back away. Zergling did tap well. Hazuop's consistently throwing out those frag launcher grenades. That's a very low double kill from that Junkrat. We do see Nick with the 3rd kill right there. The shots go out. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a map number 5. GG, well played.
Wow, GG. Very, very sick game. Basically, you had the XP lead on the side of Oxygen for most of the game, but just a bit, like a quarter or half a level. The fights looked better for Wildheart until level 16, when Varian Lucio synergy came online. There was a lot more to it than meets the eye, and luckily we've got the best analyst in CCL on board. Justin, talk to us.
So that was a game of scaling for Oxygen, and Wildheart, they needed to get some kind of an advantage early on in the game, and they had XP advantage, they had kill advantage, but they weren't ahead enough in the shots to make up for that. to be able to make up for the lack of scaling that their comp has into Oxygen. Just real quick, going over the 20s for the team. Blaze gets Bunker, it's okay. Stukov level 20s don't really exist, they're kind of irrelevant. Hanzo level 20s aren't great, Lunara level 20s aren't great, Anubarax are okay at best. On the other side, Junkrat with the huge grenades, that was almost what won them the game. The banner from Varian is ridiculously strong, the Entomb from Leoric is super strong, Cassia's level 20 is okay, but Lucio's is insanely strong as well. So you had 4 level 20s that are just ridiculous, that have so much value once you get them, into almost nothing impactful at level 20 for Wildheart, and you could feel how much the momentum shifted at level 16. When their talents came in at level 20, it felt just unwinnable for Wildheart. They basically needed to set themselves up to be in a position to have such an advantage by that point in the game that it didn't matter that they were getting outscaled. Wildheart unable to do that, even though they looked super strong in the early game. It really felt like Wildheart was going to just completely snowball this match from the start, but that was not the case as it got later into the game. Mason Blaze punishing the Leoric. I think the early game setup from Wildheart was very smart. You have Leoric, which should win the 1v1 against Blaze, but Mason Blaze on the Lunara was able to turn that into a 2v2 or a 2v1 against the Leoric, where Leoric really struggles against ranged heroes. So even though he beats the Blaze in the 1v1, you don't allow him to have that matchup, and it's very difficult for them, which was part of the early game advantage Wildheart got. And then Wildheart had that one moment where they ended up getting the camp while they were in a 4v5. They got both camps on both sides of the map, and it felt really doomed. But it's all about the scaling for Oxygen. They managed to always get ahead in shots as well, which was the weird thing, is even though they were down in kills, like it's 6-1 in kills at this point, 28-24 in shots. So Oxygen's still doing a better job of preserving their HP and just being able to stay in the game longer. Even though they were losing the fights in the early game, they were still managing to play the macro a little bit better. And that was the case even in the late game. They weren't anxious to take the forts like Wildheart was. You could hear in the comms too, Wildheart did not feel like they were vibing in the same way they were in the previous game. It felt a lot more maybe nerve-wracking, a little bit more like they felt kind of anxious. It seemed like they were a little bit more on edge in this game. They weren't as, having as much fun together. It was a lot more serious, and that didn't seem to bode well for Wildheart. It felt like those nerves might be starting to come back, might be starting to resurface a little bit, as this is a position where there's just as much nerves being up 2-1 in the series as there is being down, because you don't have that that underdog drive that it's all or nothing sort of thing. It's like the expectation is that you continue to win when you're in this situation, and that can be even more pressure than being in the other position. And we could hear that in the comms from Wildheart. They didn't feel the same as they did in the previous game. And just Oxygen turning on the heat with the scaling and playing the macro better. You see the bot fort here. When Oxygen got their advantages, they set up bot fort to die, but they didn't actually take it. That bot bell tower stayed there for a very long time until they were able to get the 6 cap. Oxygen got the top keep and the bot keep very, very low. But they didn't take it, whereas when Wildheart got their advantage, they immediately took bot and they weren't able to protect it. They even gave Oxygen over that boss when they were trying to defend bottom. They were defending against nobody because Oxygen was just taking the boss. So not only was the scaling better for Oxygen, but they just played the macro better in the late game. They played the team fights better in the late game. And they just came online and just played better through the second half of the game. Wildheart potentially still having those nerve issues, and you literally cannot get any more nervous, any more pressure than what the next game will be for Wildheart.
Yep.
2-2 in the series, their backs, their tournament life on the line.
Oh yeah. It is, it's a tense one, but it's a good one. I'm really, really happy, at least for everyone at home and for us as well. We get 5 games in this first matchup of the day. Yes, this is the first matchup. We still have our weighted best of 7 later on. The winner of this next map is going to be going up against 30k. The loser will take 3rd place, and that'll be the end of Season 4 of HeroesCCL for that organization. But of course, we're getting ready for a map number 5. We got to let these players stretch their legs. We got to let them discuss what they want to do and prepare for this next map. So, before we go to the break, I want to encourage you all to slap that command exclamation point prize pool in chat. Slap it. Thank you, Grubby. Bop it. Twist it. We're at $15,536 because of your generosity. I'll be sure to get banded on stream right when we come back from this break. But if you would like to push the prize pool even further, maybe we can hit 15,750. These little goals are important because 100% goes to the players. Yes, first place will take 35% of the entire prize pool, and as a note, Wisdom will be adding in $10,000 at the end of the season, which is pretty much today. So make sure you get your donations into the match arena with exclamation point prize pool. Thank you all so much for your generosity. But as I said, when we come back, we are going to find out who's taking third, who's going to be taking second and going up against, or who's going to be going up against 30K. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and Murloc mains to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. But of course, we can't just welcome in the Murlocs. We gotta welcome everyone over at the Wisdom Gaming Studios in Mall of America. Thank you all for joining us for the HeroesCCL Grand Finals watch party. It's been really fun to have you all here at, well, I guess here, there, everywhere at Mall of America. Thank you all to who traveled out there and are watching over at the Wisdom Gaming Studios, enjoying some delicious pizza. I got sent some photos from some friends of people getting pizza and wings, and I'm like, oh man, that is what's for dinner tonight for me. Grubby, what's for dinner for you tonight?
I believe I have another portion of fried noodles.
Oh,
I love me some fried noodles. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Fried rice, fried noodles, all day of the week, please. Justin, what's for dinner?
That's a lot of pressure. I'm not really thinking that far ahead. I'll be honest. Maybe I'll share some tuna with Springy. It depends.
Okay.
Depends how she's feeling.
We're a lot different in the fact that I was Skyping my parents this past week, and my mom and I were already talking about what we're getting for dinner when they come to visit in September. So, yeah, it's a little different planning on the horizon for those. But let's look forward to our matchup here as we're getting ready for map number 5. We're going to Alterac Pass. I spoiled it. I'm excited. I don't care. Oxygen will be choosing Alterac Pass. We have had some other maps. We've gone to Tomb. We've gone to Dragon. We've gone to Sky Temple, and Towers of Doom. So, Grubby, we're getting ready for Alterac Pass, a large map. Thoughts?
If this was tic-tac-toe,
yeah,
Wildheart would have just won. You see?
I love you, Grubby. I love
But it isn't.
Yeah, because the vertical, you got 3 in a row. But, either way, I want to get your thoughts, though, on Alterac Pass. It's a very large map after going from Towers of Doom. Still a very macro-heavy map as well, but a little bit on the smaller side.
Yeah, did you, I missed it, did you, I was thinking of my next comment. Did you have map stats already?
No, let me actually read the map stat. Man, we are crushing it today, I gotta be honest. Let me quickly bring up the map stats for Alterac Pass. The Oxygen members are 3 and 2 on this map. Wildheart Esports 1 and 2. Now, Grubby.
Okay, so Oxygen has the better score, is what you're saying. And
Yes.
I'm checking their regular season stats. They didn't play earlier in the playoffs, whereas, they haven't played each other on this map yet. So, statistically, Oxygen favored. But in terms of total maps won against each other, it's still 7-6 in Wildheart's favor.
It is. I mean, stat-wise, it's looking good for Oxygen, but was it? I'm trying to think to yesterday, Justin. Was it Wildheart who had like the turnaround on the map, or was it Oxygen? I'm literally blanking. We had an Alterac map. Oh no, that was the 30K one with Cure. That's what I'm thinking of, where he was on Hanzo and it was looking a little shaky. So because I was like, ooh, I wonder if they're gonna go into that. But I do actually wonder what Wildheart is going to be prioritizing here for a map like this. Is it getting back onto the globals? I mean, do you think Wildheart could actually go for like a Vikings, Justin?
It's possible. I guess that mostly probably comes down to how desperate Zergling's feeling in general. Just if you think that type of sort of cheese comp is what you need, then you can definitely go for it. Vikings are strong, but I'm not sure if this is really their best map. The way the objective works, there's not too much you can really trade the objective for, because the bosses aren't super strong, so there's not a lot of reasons to really be anywhere but where the objective is when the objective spawns. It is a little scary for Wildheart being taken here, because this is the map that Oxygen just completely bullied 30K on. That was what it was. And we haven't seen any Hasuab's Jaina either, which is strange, because that was picked in nearly all the games that we've seen from Oxygen. When they were doing really well, a lot of the times they had that Hasuab's Jaina, and that's what kind of was their go-to against 30K. So, and they completely decimated them on this map. So Oxygen definitely coming into this with, some momentum after being able to take that one map so decisively against 30K, the team that both these teams are hoping to face after this. So Wildheart in a peculiar spot, but I mean, it's just gonna come down to gameplay and who can perform better under the pressure.
Yeah. And I mean, if we look at just experience in these realms, I mean, a lot of Oxygen members have been in a situation like this where they've got this pressure. And Wildheart, yes, there's experience on this roster, but there are also, I wouldn't say like young bloods, but there are some, or I guess I wouldn't say they're new players, but they are young bloods in that sense of, maybe they haven't been in a situation with this level of pressure on a lower bracket final. But of course, we're here, Alterac Pass Grubby, map number 5 in our first best of 5 of the day, and we're gonna get into this. Obviously, I'm expecting a hammer ban.
Yeah, hammer ban. They've been letting Lucio get away, and it's been hit and miss. You could really see Yasuops reeling it in on purpose last game.
Oh yeah.
Something, if he had done that on Tomb, it could have looked very differently by now. But he learned from it. That's what matters. Now will Wildheart learn from the situation as well? Will they remove Lucio, or will they continue to go with the Johanna ban? Okay, they're targeting Bad Benny. Johanna will be removed. That means Lucio could be picked up. But Oxygen removed Lucio in this situation before. They didn't want it to be first picked by Wildheart. So if we can't have it, you certainly may not either.
I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, is it the priority for Anubarak justing, or is it the priority for Diablo on a map like this?
So the Anubarak, for Bad Benny, there it is. It's the Anubarak. I have even in the Tomb game though, outside of the one cocoon onto the Lucio that was just massive, it hasn't felt like the Anubarak has been very strong just in general. It feels like it's mostly a detriment almost all the time because it really forces you into this playstyle where you have to get a clean engage or you just automatically lose the fight because the Anubarak is so squishy compared to things like the Varian, like the Diablo. I'm hoping to see Wildheart just pick up the Diablo here. If they're really worried about an isolation one-shot, good. They take the bullet alongside it, so that won't be a thing. Even ban the Monk if you're really that worried about it. You have Cocoon to set up for that, so there is the possibility of Oxygen going with an aggressive composition with the Monk, even maybe a double support with Monk, although that's not as expected. But with the way that, I mean, if you have Diablo and there aren't real good clear counters, if you ban away the Monk, if you ban away the Tychus maybe, just Haven should be invincible, and Blaze Diablo is so strong in team fights. Also now they have the Greymane with the Blaze as opposed to against the Blaze. They have Greymane into Anubarak, which is probably the single hero that Anubarak hates facing the most. And typically when we see the Greymane, it's against Blaze, who can go with the attack speed slow oil at 7. That won't be the case, so whoever's playing the Greymane should have a good time so far on the Wildheart roster.
I see that we have the Rhaegar ban, which is really, really good. Synergizes dive-wise. You've got totems, chain heals, all that good stuff. Do you know what I really wouldn't mind seeing again, Grubby? Is Weary Day on the Malfurion. I actually think Weary Day's Malfurion was beautiful on Tomb. I know we're two different maps, but I think that still could work for Wildheart.
Yeah, it was really, really good. The map is a bit more open, so roots are slightly less good, but it looked strong. And although Malf feels like he can be all in, he's really good against melee as well, because you get bigger Moonfire hits and you get really good roots. They're gonna go with the Tychus to kill Diablo. Excuse me, to kill Diablo. And I wonder what will be the counter into Tychus. Will they try to go for like a blinder, like a Cassia, or maybe they'll just go macro? And you know what would be good? A Falstad and a Brightwing.
Yeah, Falstad Brightwing is like the. I can't believe that Wildheart has the option to take that right now. I think the last 2 picks from Oxygen are basically just a complete blunder. I'd be surprised with anything else. We'll see. Oh, completely different.
Surprised?
I'm super surprised. I thought this was the most obvious Brightwing for the Diablo, for the Global as well.
Yeah, I'm right there with both of you. I would have loved to see Falstad and Brightwing. That would have actually been, I think that would have been Wildheart like winning draft in my opinion. But adjusting, we've got the Alterac Pass map loading in a second, and let's get your thoughts here on the draft that has unfolded.
Yeah, really surprised to see that they don't go for the Brightwing and the Falstad. I think that would have been just an automatic draft win for Wildheart, no matter what the last pick was for Oxygen. But I think this has just got to be, they're more comfortable playing these things. Weary Day more comfortable with the Anduin, and Mason Blaze feeling like he'll have more of an impact on the Thrall. He has looked really strong on the Thrall, so there is that. Cassia into the Thrall is going to be a little bit annoying for him, but they do still have really strong auto attack damage into the Anubarak. Anubarak likely to get very bullied here. Oxygen, especially with the Deckard, not able to prevent a one-shot themselves. They're going to need to rely heavily on their execution and be able to get just good, decisive engages with clean CC and one-shot between the Anubarak combo, the Tychus damage, the Deckard cube. If they don't have the perfect execution, Wildheart should basically automatically win the fight after that. We could even potentially see the Earthquake come out again from Mason Blaze to provide some disengage. I don't think they need it this game. I think I'd rather see the Sundering alongside the Fire Breath, but we'll see. I think Wildheart's comp is still a little bit better. but it could go either way.
Well, let's go ahead and introduce our fantastic teams here, because we got Oxygen in the blue, Bad Benny on the Anubrak, Hazuubs on the Tychus, Copen on the Hogger, Yasuo on the Deckard, and Nick on the Cassia. Over on the side of Wild Heart Esports, we've got Zergling on the Blaze, Mason Blaze on the Thrall, Ivy Tings will be on the Greymane, Diablo to be played by Haben, and Weary Day on the Anduin. Grubby.
Yeah,
I feel
things too. I feel a lot of things.
Oh.
What do you
robot
feel?
From you? I got a little robot from you for a second there. It's, I'm feeling like the members of Wildheart can take this one. I actually really do like their draft. The Anduin, the Thrall, it's not awful. It's just, yeah, as we were really hitting on the draft, really would have rather seen that Falstad and the Brightwing. But of course, Anduin still is the Yoinks. We have good play from Thrall in general. I still think Wildheart can take this. Let's see if Grubby, what are your thoughts as well? Your level. You're good. Okay. No beep boop for me.
It's ironic to say that I sounded like a robot right after I wanted to say I feel, because robots don't feel. Weird. But all right, so yeah, I think either team can win. Like the Anduin Thrall was definitely surprising. Now there's a lot of pressure on Anubrak. If it would have been Falstad Brightwing, Nubrak is a little safer. Like, yeah, Falstad chunks him, but Thrall's got lockdown. So if Nubrak wanted to run that level 4 movement speed or so, that would be pretty sick. It's interesting you went for the Legion of Beetles talent. Not seeing enough value in bonus spell armor. I get it. Thrall, Greymane, lots of auto attack damage in particular. Mostly auto attacks. It's still interesting that a talent that gives Beetles health, spell armor let's say, could be better than something that saves the actual Papa Beetle.
Papa Beetle? To be saved? Maybe?
With that Legion of Beetles. And it's it's more Beetles as well. You're gonna get a few more Beetles, like once every 12 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't imagine he will go more Beetles talent than that one. I think that's the only one that you get.
I'm a Beetleborg all day, as we have a massive Jet Propulsion. That's a Chastise with the level 4 piercing. Nick very low, not actually going to go down. Bad Benny comes in with the Burrow Charge. I actually like the Beetle build. It's very fun if you haven't tried it. It's just, I don't know. I have so much fun with it because there's just a lot of harassment that you can get from that. Hazuubs. Wow.
Wow, that root hit?
Yes, exactly. Like the way that the Chastise was sent way before Haben even went for the overpower, and I feel like Haben kind of positioned a little bit for that.
Yeah, it's because Chastise expands when it travels further, so that was pretty neat.
Really?
Yeah, it starts thinner and it keeps expanding sideways and sideways, because the Shadow Charge overpower really got it right to the east side of that Chastise.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to keep an eye on for that. I honestly have never noticed it. A little flash heal out from Weary Day right now. Here comes Nick. That's a Chastise once again, perfectly played into the Diablo overpower, but here comes Bad Benny with a fantastic Burrow Charge in, and he'll be able to delay things out and stop any sort of potential kill into Nick. Now, our objective phase is up and available because we are 3 minutes into the game, but the real objective is being worked on by Hogger and Blaze, that null pack camp for the mid lane.
I just realized, right? Deckard is actually really synergistic with Anubrak and Cassia, because both have natural forms of armor, spell armor and actual armor, which Cassia has. So giving Potion of Shielding, the level 4 Deckard talent, has extra... Essentially, that's an extra big shield.
Wait, Burrow onto Greymane. He's going to get one Razor Swipe. There's the roll. The Eyes in the Dark as well. Oh, I'm actually... So Eyes in the Dark it's a green talent, but it's human form. And the Thick Skin is green talent, but in Worgen form. There you go, if you've ever wanted to know the icon difference.
Stealth is pretty solid. It can be quite nice. Didn't get the block charges. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Into Tychus' minigun, at least it won't do anything. Though I always think... I still feel like block is good into Tychus, because he goes Odin, no? Like, Odin has big autos, 400 damage autos. Anyway, big fight over the objective. Wildheart really stepping up here. Nick on the flank, feeling quite frisky. It's dodged by Abby Tings.
You get that subterranean shields. Also want to point out the Emerald from the Decker Cane, a 30-second cooldown. We also reduce the healing by 75%, so that could be something that stalls out the Anduin Desperate Prayer, or not stalls out, but stops the Desperate Prayer value, or even some of those flash heals coming through. Equal in our experience between the two teams, even though there is one kill over the side of Wildheart Esports. And otherwise, it's looking pretty normal when it comes to builds. I don't see anything really of major note. No Frostwolf Resilience at level 4 for the Thrall, but I feel like we've been seeing just more and more of this Monotide, and the value from it's extremely strong. The Frostwolf Resilience restores 15 mana, and you also reduce the basic ability cooldowns by 0.5 seconds.
Well, I've been watching Thrall build a lot, and this is literally the second time I've seen it in CCL. The
really?
Monotide. And we have been seeing it more and more. It's true.
Yeah.
We saw it now, and we saw it earlier this series, both by Wildheart. But does that mean he's going Earthquake again, like on the Sky Temple? Is that the synergy he's looking for? Or, yeah.
I'd like the Sundering personally, but yeah, I feel like it is going to be the Earthquake.
Yeah, both is good. Both is good. Like, really, it's a different playstyle. For Earthquake, you play like for level 20. It's better at level 20 than Sunder. With the Sunder, you are... Earth and Shield's so good. With Sunder, you're allowed to pick Bolt, because Sunder upgrade, it's good, but it's not as necessary.
Oh, Sunder it is. I also love the Sunder because you can, as you were saying, the Bolt at level 20, you can split people up, but I also like the split that allows Diablo. You can manipulate a little bit of what's happening in the battleground and push people back near a wall. That's a great Lornado from the Decker King. Cocoon will connect onto the Thrall. He does have some sustainability with that level 1 as well, but he actually pops the Wind Fury out of the Cocoon, is able to just auto his way through the damage, or the pain. And the other thing, as Grubby had noted, it's going to be the Lornado. Do want to point out it is going to be Lightning Breath and Go for the Throat for the Diablo and the Greymane, as a very low Nick might get hit with that Go for the Throat. I'm waiting to hear the audio cue from it.
There's the audio. The overpower, but he still gets the kill on Cassia. Lornado is pretty good, once again, pushing 2 people into tower. But I mean, without Tychus, Diablo is practically unkillable.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at Haben for a second. Look at Hazuubs as well. He's just waiting for Ivy to get the channel and gets one interrupt with the grenade. Hogger will get the easy throw dynamite out as well. And Blaze grabs another one of the true objectives. We still haven't even had a single second of channel time on our first objective. It's the first one. We know this because it's 30 seconds of necessary channel time. As the Hogger comes in with the shockwave, we are going to be having Copen able to back away. Ivy able to get out of here. Lornado from the Decker Cane. There's a Commandeer Odin, and I think Wildheart are fine with just disengaging. Actually, Wildheart looking for the chase.
Yeah, their mid wall got taken down. They're kind of pissed. They're good on XP, and they have 2 kills against none, but Oxygen is winning the structural war. They've killed the entire top wall, the entire mid wall, and almost the entire bottom wall, and in return, they only have damage on their towers. Propulsion goes wide off the mark. Nullpack Camp does pretty good, and the objective channel has started for Wildheart. Nick once again floating around on the flank. Meanwhile, Anubarak is getting attacked by Thrall. He does a Cocoon on Diablo. Going for the Blaze.
Sunder. Lornado comes out as well. Chastise onto the Hogger, who's looking for a bounce to get out of here. Is going to be able to find it, but Bad Benny goes down to the right side of our screen. I think we did hear the audio cue for the Go for the Throat. The second charge will come through, as Greymane did use that heroic to solidify the kill onto the Nubrak. But now, this is a not a Webweaver phase, excuse me. It's the Cavalry coming through. You want to jump into the Wildheart comms?
Yeah, let's go for it.
I'll by yourself, I think.
There's a Hogger. I don't really push that hard.
1v1 is okay.
I'm dead. I have bomb now. You can
I'm gonna clear one wave and I'm coming.
The mid fort's most important though.
Go.
Exit bottom. Push up.
I can't follow.
Oh,
Okay. Okay, I go for flank. Can we look for this or no? I'm gonna come linear.
No Q. Can I just raw hit the building?
Yeah.
Raw hit building.
Right there.
Oh, good dodge.
Look at Bad Benny.
Yeah, go.
I don't have both. They're almost on.
Getting out of the bottom, Mason.
Yeah.
They use bus.
Back.
I've stunned.
He has nothing. Do we?
Bottom.
Boss?
He's killable, maybe. He has nothing. We can just put as well.
Hit building.
Biting. Back.
We're here. Bad.
Yeah, back.
I got Katya.
I'm
Oh,
I don't have
sorry.
your help, Ivy. I don't. Oh, fuck.
I'm fine,
You
I'm
need
fine.
it under me, maybe.
They used Odin too. It's
Are we
good.
here?
It's
Are we here?
fine. It's fine. Just make sure they
Ah,
don't
no
bomb.
mana, no mana. Okay. Solo.
Camp is
Yeah,
August probably on
They're
camp.
going to camp right now. They're going to camp. We watch
Did I
it. They're
start?
going to camp.
They're on boss. Yeah, they're
No,
starting.
it doesn't matter.
As we exit the Wild Heart comms, we got to hear a little bit from them. I do want to point out a really cool factor that they noticed, and someone at home or anyone at home might be like, how did they know Ancient Blessings was used? Decker Kane, when he activates Ancient Blessings, any hero affected by it will have a little golden circle inside their hero model circle, if you will. So, like, you can see, like, underneath Blaze, there's that little orange circle right now. If he were to have Ancient Blessings applied, then there would be, like, a little glow underneath. Thank you, Observer, for zooming in a little bit right there so we can see that a little clear. So, if you are wondering at home how they knew, or to look out for yourself, or even in your own games, if you're against a Deckard who does go Ancient, keep an eye out for that little golden icon underneath their model sizes. But either way, that's just a little note I had. Some cool moments there, Grubby, but a fight to break out.
Diablo drops to half-life, which is still thousands of health.
Open.
Runs away. Hooker gets taken down. Wildheart with the counter engage. Deckard should be dead there. He's trying to run away. Diablo drops really, really low. It's so risky to try and hard engage all in on the Diablo. And Oxygen did try to make that play. He's the one in front. He's the one most likely to get attacked by Wildheart. They stay alive. This is Diablo on 100 souls. Turnaround play. Now that was with Sundering, right? Gets 2 kills. Now imagine it's Earthquake. It's kind of like, we got slowed once and we walk away. It's a big difference. It's really effective for pro play to have Sundering to get that deletion. But Oxygen not sitting on their laurels. They know they got taken out there. Doing some push, killing the top fort.
So I saw Diablo pushing around Nubrak on the minimap, and I was wondering if there'd be tower shots and more. But I do really like what Wildheart has done here, and just being able to grab boss. They go for objective. Yes, they may lose their top lane fort, but that's more of a consolation to Copen and crew. And just to circle back to what you're saying about Sundering, I absolutely agree. And I mentioned it before the 10 was even picked up. The level of control that you can get and displacement amplifies the value of Diablo, Greymane, even Anduin as well. You have the Sundering that kind of locks someone up for a second or so, and Anduin can then play into that with a Chastise, or Diablo, Greymane can push a button and go right on in. Even Blaze with a Jet Propulsion. So just so many cool things with that Sundering. Glad it was picked up. Good utilization. And as we take stock of the 16s, we are just going to be having more fire stomps out from Diablo. Do want to point out, Anduin's got that secondary charge of Leap of Faith. He's got 2 charges right now. I'm going to keep an eye on those cooldowns for everyone at home as well.
Everything's pushing in mid. It's a level lead for Wildheart. If they can just hold on and get to level 20, they can grab so much advantage from it.
Yeah, 20 from Thrall, as we had mentioned, is that Blink. I'm assuming Fortified Bunker from Blaze. We did have Burn Notice yesterday, and we all know how that went. Yeah, twice actually. We had Blunderbuss potential for the Greymane, upgrade on the Light Bomb, the Inner Fire for the shielding, movement speed. That's at least the assumption. We could also see, there's an upgrade on Chastise at 20, isn't there not?
Yep, you get a stun instead, and a bit of extra root afterwards.
All of those are an option, as we have Blaze still delayed out. I did see the Emerald applied to him, applied to the Heraldric Cube. Diablo goes in with the Shadow Charge. That's going to be a follow-up from the Blaze. No Emerald available. Lord Nado was good, but there's still people behind, and Anub'arak squashed like the bug he is.
Never got to use Cocoon. Anub'arak really... Yeah, he really squishy when you can't use your abilities. And this was really expertly done by Wildheart. It was essentially a 5-on-5 with a small lane pressure advantage for Wildheart. And they pushed down mid fort and got the kill on the guarding Anub'arak. Really well done. Now this might be overextending a bit into the towers. Yasuo is staying alive with the shielding. Diablo gets pulled back. Who gets the camp? Mason Blaze is like, cool, got a free camp. But impressive that Oxygen still stayed alive under that.
Another Robin Hood moment from Wildheart, stealing from the rich, stealing from Oxygen. and giving to, I guess, themselves. No, they're giving to Alterac Pass. There you go. Another Cavalry. I believe this is the second one of the game for Wildheart here. Second one overall as well. And what does Wildheart get? We got 67 stacks for the Cassie at level 1, 1 piercing for the Anduin, no stacks on the Tychus, but keep in mind, you do still have a passive of the 10% attack speed, so the extra attack speed on top of the 15 stacks is just a cherry on top, but you still have utility, much like Joanna with Subdue at level 4. You don't have to finish it, there's still a little bit of value in that ability itself.
Wildheart hasn't lost a single hero this game. If they can keep up the flawless wreck, it will be an easy victory. A single mistake, you can see it turn back against them.
You know what they say, Grubby, overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. As Bad Benny comes in with a burrow, an impale, there is the healing reduction from Deckard, and Wary, I think, is just waiting to actually apply the heals to Zergling. I love that wait from Wary, because he knew that there was no kill potential onto the Blaze in that moment, and there's no point in expending your mana and your abilities on someone who's going to receive 75% less healing.
Yeah, exactly. Quite true. He also had Circling hanging back there to see if he should save Haven with a bunker, but it wasn't necessary. Now, this could be the Hail Mary kind of play moment. It's quite obvious. I don't know if Nick showed on vision there. I guess not. So it's like maybe there's only one person. But Benny gets one of the 2 stuns. There could be a Loot Horde stun combo. Shockwave misses. That's everything on Diablo. That's exactly what Wildheart wants. On the other hand, Wildheart is like, well, you've used a bunch of stuff. We could turn around. And they're looking at it, actually. But at the same time, they don't really need to. They're 5-4s with a positive null pack pressure and a level lead.
There's pressure already in mid, near the keep. There's already pressure in bottom, starting to amass. So Wildheart knows that the enemy has to clear things out. And I'm actually going to jump onto the Wildheart vision really quickly. So they see, I'm looking at the Wildheart minimap, and it's just going to be Cassia and a Nubrak showing mid and bottom, everyone else missing on map, and they can just make assumptions that there's people floating in between. There's the camp to be grabbed. Tychus to show on map as well. We keep seeing pings. I keep seeing pings actually the bottom lane boss, because that's a 10 second. It's 10 seconds away from spawning with 20 talent to your advantage. I wonder if Wildheart goes for the double boss play.
I think you don't, because you will lose the objective. I think it's perfect. Objective is so powerful, more than boss. So
Yeah.
you have a full level lead to get the objective. 50 seconds. 4 guards, 50 seconds. That is bridgeable with a 1 level advantage. So if you just don't push waves towards the towers, then there's no way for Oxygen to get level 20 on time. Objective at this point, with every wave pushed, these 2 waves are pushed, is like, I feel that's like guaranteed 2 keeps.
With this objective phase for Wildheart?
I think so. I think.
Okay.
Guaranteed,
I can see it.
Guaranteed is too much, maybe, but.
You know what? I will say guaranteed 1 keep. How about that?
Yeah, I think so. I'd be very impressed, especially considering. Well,
I don't
Odin,
think.
Yeah, Odin is pretty good. There's a way you save every keep, I suppose.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. There's also a way that Wildheart could take all 3 keeps. It's going to boil down to. I think the biggest question that we're going to have to answer in this siege that will be coming up in a few seconds from the side of Drekthar's camp is going to be, can Wildheart find a kill or 2? Because that is the big thing in my opinion. If Wildheart gets 1 to 2 kills, they are really going to be able to take down a lot. Yeah, and I think the game would be over too with 1 to 2 kills. 1, maybe 2 for sure.
2 lanes are pushed, and the nullpack camp is accompanying center as well. Bottom lane is not pushed, but Wildheart is just focusing on 2 out of 3. Spreading their eggs not over all the baskets, nor 1. 2 out of 3 baskets. They're starting to push in. Hatsuops looking to use Odin. Who has the better level 20s? We have Mornado. We have Power Spike from Copenhagen. Armor debuff. They haven't had a single kill.
We also do have the Trader King for a Nubrak for a little extra safety. Now, Commandeer Odin is way too far forward in the lane. That's a Lightning Breath from Diablo cooking up that mech. The Terran is able to back away. Ball Lightning is indefinite because they have the level 20, and that will be a reset for Cassia, nearly a reset. As the Blaze does go down, things are not going the way we were thinking, and setting it up in the storyline for Wildheart. As you had said, Grubby, there's a world where all 3 keeps stay up, and this, I think, might be that world.
Yeah, things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize them anymore. Oxygen just got their first kill in this game. It was really close. Odin got all in, the 25 armor and the Neo Steel coating. Crucial to keep him alive. Ancient Blessings came in, he took a couple of heals, and honestly, Wildheart can count their lucky stars. 1, 2, 3. That they only lost one hero here because they had several members melee under the keep, getting Lornadoed and whatnot. And now you have Oxygen thinking about playing for boss, and Wildheart threatening top/mid keep. Every keep is extremely hurt. So if you have Oxygen going for boss, Wildheart can just go tap, 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 3 keeps.
And they saw Cassia. This was, I also think, just an intuition from Wildheart saying, we assume they're on boss, so let's go and try and push up top lane keep, because, well, it's across the literal map. And so that does pull them back. We do have a lot of members missing. I'm checking between the visions of the two teams. Yeah, the assumption is that Blaze and Wildheart are on that camp on the right side. So with that assumption, we do have Oxygen immediately rushing to bottom lane to try and take down a fort, get a periodic Reaver in this lane matching the opposing side that is approaching their keep consistently, or periodically, excuse me.
Just taking down this little fort here. Oxygen had many options. They could push out top wave so that their top keep is more safe. They could accompany their Hellbats. They could try to do a Hail Mary play for boss. They went for something very timid but wise, I think. Unexciting to get one fort on the perimeter, but very crucial part of a greater whole in terms of the macro. Ogre getting attacked here. That's a Censure on the Nubrak. All-inning with Shockwave on Diablo seems unwise.
Light Bomb on to Greyman, I think it was, who jumps in. We also did have the Cocoon on to Weary Day, which was stalling things out a little bit healing-wise, but doesn't seem like it was actually enough to warrant a worry for the side of Wildheart. Our next objective is up and available. Thrall goes to bottom lane to go clear things out and consistently push in. Speaking of things pushing in, if we take a look at top lane, there's a huge wave that has arrived to that keep right now, and we are going to have another one right behind that. So that top lane keep could fall if no one goes to clear it.
I think I would love to see not a single more all-in on Diablo. It has never worked for Oxygen, not once, and they keep trying it, using really important cooldowns when they damn well know that Wildheart is going to send more people there. The interrupt was... Yeah, go ahead.
I also think that Haben is playing this Diablo so very well, looking a lot more vulnerable than he is, because in that mid-engagement we just had, when he shadow charged in my brain I was like, where's the rest of his team?
He's
like
alone.
He's not... Yeah, he's kind of alone, and I think he keeps selling this idea to Oxygen that I'm so killable, but with Full Souls, Fire Stomp build, and Soul Shield at level 1, this Diablo, he's like 2 Diablos.
Yeah, and then there's Bolt of the Storm if he misjudges.
Yes!
And then there is the Revival if he absolutely misjudges and dies.
It's
and
like
there's
3 Diablos, really.
Yeah, double Leap of Faith. There's 5 Diablos. Now you've got the double boss play. The bottom boss, will it kill the bottom keep? It's gonna be close. It's already down to 40%. Will there be another slam in or out of the range of the keep? Okay, I think they're gonna hold it, actually.
Yeah, Tychus is just drilling through and peppering as much as he can. Boss gets 1, 2 autos, and will fall. I think we timed it out yesterday. That slam is roughly 8 seconds,
8 seconds,
of a cooldown.
Okay, top boss is gonna take down the keep for sure. You have the initial channel by Oxygen. They must stay. And they need to defend the boss in the next 60 seconds, maybe 50 or 40. But they must stay here for 30. This is so hard. They're all-inning Diablo again. This time, Leap of Faith. They need to stay here, but one person needs to go back. This is a nearly impossible situation for Oxygen, and Wildheart damn well knows it.
We also have the Null Pack in mid lane pushing things up as well. Big Sundering coming off from the Thrall. That's going to be the Light Bomb as well from the Andu, and Bad Benny getting very low here as the Lornado comes out and pushes people around. The objective phase will go over to the side of Oxygen Esports. They're first of the game, but as I mentioned, that Null Pack in mid is pushing up. That boss is there as well. Boss and Null Pack will take down 2 keeps, and this is Vandar Stormpike who needs to clear things out. Hogger will help out as well.
Baha, I think you can core maybe. Can't you?
They're looking at Wildheart wants it. You can even see they're rushing in.
No, you can't. Wow, it dropped down to 20 armor. Yeah, they thought about it. But then Guilty Conscience spoke up. All right,
Let's
stop.
go ahead and
Before you
look at,
walk into that door, it's time to look at the situation of the macro. Like this objective is now barreling down. And Oxygen, they're down to 1 keep. They need to make something happen. Bad Penny is deep. Does he have Trader King? He does not yet. 3 seconds. 2.
Okay.
1.
So it's off cooldown. Cavalry through top is back far before the fort even. Mid lane is arriving to the fort. A Nubrak going to help amplify that siege and confirm another structure. Only structure remaining is on the bottom side of the map. Sundering out from Thrall feels more like a zone creation heroic than an actual setup for a kill.
There are many Lornados available. It is no problem. Oxygen pushing in on mid. They want at least one keep. But it's very difficult. Lornado trying to fish, creating space, like you said, zoning.
A little bit of poke out from Thrall as well. Some autos from Greymane. He's trying to keep that inner beast active. We can tell because the purple glow on his weapons, but it should expire soon as there's no target for him around. Next objective will be arriving to top lane keep around 50%. Here comes the Commandeer Odin. Can Diablo pull anyone over the gate? I don't think anyone's going to step too far forward for that one. Now that the gate's down, it's going to be Siege coming in. You know, it'd be crazy if Wildheart was in the driver's seat for this entire game and then Oxygen wins right here. That'd be kind of interesting, but I don't see it. I don't see it happening just yet. Commandeer Odin will expire before I think the keep falls, yeah.
How much does he have left?
Oh, the Commandeer Odin? I don't think he has much at all, but there is Ancient Blessings to be used.
Yeah, it is used. Diablo on Hogger.
Hogger gets a good bounce. Ball Lightning, it's infinite.
Again, Shockwave for Diablo. It missed. Leap of Faith. That's the second Leap of Faith. There's a 45-second cooldown on the first returning charge. Now, Hogger does have the power spike, so it comes back a bit quicker when he has rage. This was Oxygen giving it their all with the objective. Both bosses are off the map, Bahamut. Bottom boss, 55 seconds. Top, 1 minute and 45. It's double nullback camp. 1 keep against 3, with the keep only having 2,037 health for Oxygen.
Oh my god. I can feel the tension in this match. And you also... You gotta look at Oxygen. They have climbed back so well in the last 2 to 5 minutes. Like 2.5 to 5 minutes, Oxygen's really been pulling things back to their favor. I mean, we're now looking at there's still only 1 keep available for Oxygen, albeit on a sliver, but like top lane took a lot of damage, bottom lane pretty low as well. Nubrak comes in with a burrow charge onto the Blaze. There's a chastise out from the Anduin, and Bad Benny and friends just kind of back away, just putting pressure onto Zergling as another objective phase is available. Diablo and friends floating around on the safe side to defend their own.
So Cassian and Nubrak are pushing out bot. The boss is available there as well. And you have Wildheart, they're just trying to go for the objective, but they mismanipulated the footman.
Yeah. I've noticed that a couple times from Wildheart. They, like, Diablo was trying to get the channel, and like, Greymane was just razor swiping through them, but not pulling them away from Diablo. So that's just one of those things where it's just the manipulation doesn't always work out with all the jailers, especially when having 4, it's a little more difficult to kind of pull them away. 27 minutes into our game, roughly. Diablo is going to be all in once again. The Soul Shield proc, there's a staggering blow into the wall. There's the Leap of Faith sundering out from the Thrall as well. Double Lornado will be out.
That sundering was overabundantly cautious by Mason Blaze. Not required because Leap of Faith was there. Leap of Faith cooldown is now 1 second for the new charge. The other one, of course, on a 60-second cooldown by now. And Oxygen is anticipating that there will be a null pack play by Wildheart. And therefore, they are looking at boss. They're looking to do boss. Their kid starts it. But they also realize, what did they think? They thought that Wildheart went to bottom. There's no chance to go top on time anymore.
And you can see that as they're rotating, they get into mid lane. You can see a bunch of the little reticles start to turn towards mid to go clear. Anubrak's going to be late for this. I actually think that Wildheart could walk in. Like,
They're
maybe
just trying to clean up. Oxygen is trying to clean up heroes in 20 seconds. If they can, they earn the right to go and defend. And if they cannot, Wildheart wins. Lornado and Diablo.
Leap of Faith, 1 Leap of Faith is available, and Anduin and friends, they just leave Diablo. They're just like, we're going core. Bye. We have no pack mid. Thrall actually, he blinked into the core. Yeah, because
it gives Wind Fury. There's no pack camp. There's armor debuff. I can't believe what we're seeing. Wildheart is on the precipice of a 3-2. Sundering for zoning. Greymane.
8,000, 7,000. Weary Day low. There's Lornados all around the core to defend. The core is spinning, but it doesn't matter. The boss is here. Ladies and gentlemen, Wildheart Esports take down Oxygen in map 5 of our best of 5 lower bracket finals. That is going to be Wildheart punching their ticket to the grand finals up against 30K later. Well, up next actually today. And that will be Oxygen, who will be taking 3rd place in HeroesCCL Season 4. A round of applause. Seriously, that was a fantastic matchup. Like the Wildheart versus Oxygen, really, really, really good rematch that we had from basically the start of this playoff bracket. But of course, Justin, we got to get you back in here because I'm sure you have so much to talk about from this Alterac map.
That absolutely went the distance. That was about as close as you can possibly get. It all comes down to a late game macro blunder by Oxygen, thinking that Wildheart is going to be on the bottom boss, catching themselves. As soon as they realize the top boss spawns, they just all book it towards top, but it's way too late. Wildheart playing that game extremely controlled. I was unsure if that was them playing maybe too safe, maybe potentially falling back into their old habits of being afraid to take any risks to really end the game out, close the game. But they didn't need to. They played it very, very controlled. It was 0 to 5 kills for most of the early game. We see it ended 1 to 8. There was only that one time where they allowed themselves to get picked. And Weary Day, I was surprised there was no Brightwing. We saw the Anduin pick get a ton of value with the pulls, being able to save the Diablo. Haben was really the main focus on that Diablo. The Lornados were coming out, just try to pick him off as much as possible. Haben on Diablo, way too strong. We see why it was banned so frequently against them previously. The Anduin with the pulls and the light bombs were both really, really good from Weary Day. I think Haben and Weary Day were kind of my MVPs for this specific game. And just the late game shot calling, Wildheart just running them around the map. Oxygen unable to keep up. Haben just way too tanky. Wildheart too decisive with their macro. They really just kind of danced around the map. There was only the one time in the late game where Oxygen really started to have a chance to come back into the game, where they went for the play that they felt they needed to make. They went for that objective on the bottom side, trading it for the boss, which was still an automatic winning situation for Wildheart. It could have been a game-ending situation, so Oxygen was able to stay in the game because they took that risk, because they took that 5v5 committing to the objective, which delayed the game a little bit longer, but they were unable to get any engages. I'm really starting to feel like a Nubarak is just weak. When you compare him to something like a Diablo, it really felt like Bad Benny was unable to really play the game in this game specifically. If he goes on Haben, they lose the fight. If he dives past Haben, Haben will just bully him. There was just, it was kind of the Haben show, it felt like. You see in these highlights, it's just all Haben just barely surviving disaster, with Weary Day having really good pulls to follow up to save him, and them always turning the fight. I don't think the Deckard pick was it. I don't really understand the Tornadoes. I think the Stay a While and Listen would have made a lot more sense, especially at level 20. You'd have such a powerful win condition within these chokes where you have to fight over the objective. It can also help to just heal. That was not the case. Mason Blaze quick on the Sunders, not thinking about it at all, not hesitating, just ripping Sunders the second he thinks he needs to use it, either to peel for the team or to, engage the fight. And Wildheart, with the exception of a very, very small moment of weakness, just near full control from start to finish. I do worry, though, for Wildheart going up into 30k, since this was a full Game 5 series. They're going to be drained. They're going to be exhausted after this very long series they had up against Oxygen. We'll see if they have enough in the tank to be able to pull it through going forward. And we'll see if this slow, controlled playstyle from Wildheart is able to actually be enough to take out 30k. It was enough to beat Oxygen here, and we'll see if it's enough to get them further, because they made it to the grand finals. It's cool to see that highlights that kind of perfect storyline where we heard it in the Madara interview. He wants to face Wildheart. Not because he thinks that they're the weakest team, but because he wants to prove that 30k is the best, that they can beat every single team to be able to be, undoubtedly the best team. And Wildheart maybe gonna make Madara regret those words, saying that he wants to face Wildheart in the finals. So I'm really excited for it, and I'm just really happy with how all this has played out. There hasn't been any games, no stomps. It's been so close between all the teams.
And that's the exciting thing for this as well. We got 5 games for our lower bracket finals, and we are going to be having potentially 6 maps, because we are going and getting ready for our grand finals matchup. And this is going to be, as I said, it's a weighted best of 7. And the reason being is I have noticed a little bit in Twitch chat, people are like, why does 30k have 1 game? Let's explain it really quickly before we do any sort of breaking, so that way everyone knows. And if anyone else asks in the break, then you can explain it for us, so we can take a break and eat sandwiches. So the reason that, oh wait, Grubby, do you want to break it down?
May I explain it?
Please, Grubby, you do so well with these things.
Single elimination tournament. The concept is, if you lose a series, you're eliminated, you're out. The winner of the bracket wins the tournament. Double elimination tournament rests on a single principle. You're allowed to lose 1 best of 5 in the brackets. Everyone is allowed to, equal. Doesn't matter whether it happens first or later. So in theory, a true pure double elimination system in the grand finals would have 30k being allowed to also lose a series, as they haven't lost a series yet. 2 best of 5s. Either 30k wins the first, or Wildheart wins the first, and now 30k gets their loss that they still had in reserve. Makes sense because Wildheart lost before. However, in order to appease many different interests, there is a kind of a middle way. There is the weighted best of 7, 1 map advantage. 30k may not have ever lost a series, and in fact they will not be allowed to lose a series at all, because if they lose now, they're out. But instead of giving the full double best of 5, they get that 1 map win as a recognition that they haven't lost a series yet. And this is actually statistically very favorable for the lower bracket team. Normally you have a 75% win chance to win if you play 2 best of 5s. 50-50 on the first series and 50-50 on the second. So the winner actually goes into a true double elim system with a 75% win chance. But now, with a weighted best of 7, 1-0, it's 57% statistically, if all other things are equal. But it's much easier for broadcast to just focus on one series than starting the whole thing over again and playing again on Infernal, again on Alterac, and not knowing how long the broadcast is going to last. So it's kind of the perfect middle way. There's some people that are like, it should be like 0-0 because you know some team is tired and so on. There's no way to really quantify that. Whether Wildheart is tired now or warmed up. Whether 30k is rested or getting nervous. You can't quantify that. But statistics you can quantify. So this is a perfect middle way, and that's why they have that 1 map advantage.
I think we should just make everyone happy here. Let's do a reset bracket, like in fighting game tournaments, so that way we get like 14 maps or something crazy like that.
Well, you call it reset, but that's the true double elim. That's applying the same principle to the grand finals as everyone else has enjoyed so far. But we're going for the middle way.
I like, we've talked about this. We've had it for many seasons, CCL. Just so you know at home, thank you, of course, Grubby, for breaking it down. That is what is going to be happening. So 30k, we'll have a 1-game advantage in the best of 7 series. But let's go ahead and remind you that it's up to you to get the best picks as you're watching live on cclmarkets.com. Justin, it's free.
It's free.
If you pick wrong, okay. If you pick wrong, you can sell your shares and buy the other team before the match is over. CCL markets trade from 0 to 100 with shares of the winning team valuing at 100 and shares of the losing team expiring at 0. There's tons of prizes this season, so join and play during every HeroesCCL broadcast. So as I mentioned, we're getting ready for this grand finals, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be a little bit of a longer break because, well, Wildheart's gotta go and rest up and then get ready for a potentially longer series, potentially 6 maps in total in the best of 7 series. So we're gonna have a little bit of a longer break, but as always during our breaks, we bring on our amazing friend Kyle Ferguson. He sat down with Liam to discuss the possibilities of the bracket and all of that kind of stuff, and the season as well. So make sure you all stick around for the upcoming best of 7. There will be a little bit of a break, so go stretch your legs, maybe go get a pizza or walk the dog or the cat. I don't know if some people walk their cats, but either way, don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with more HeroesCCL action in just a few, presented by Wisdom.